It's going to be a stomp. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I could easily see Clubhouse going a fair distance, similar to the Gen G game. But Bank, with the way that G2 play this map, I'm feeling very confident about in this first map anyway. And I think with G2, with the kind of trend that we've seen whenever it comes to G2 in best of threes, they don't really mess around. You know, they usually do go in and just get the job done in two. Like, that's why I say that.
Well, we do know, obviously, Bank, 2 weeks ago was a 7-3 for the side of G2 against BDS. They're pretty handy in how they handled that. And two of the missing sort of factors there that we had in that game were Freck and P4, 2-9 and 2-8, respectively, between the pair. Do you think we'll get more of them here, though, after the day that they've opened up with?
Yeah, I think momentum will just trickle on. And the fact that I think for BDS, they didn't really play like a massive amount of Siege in that last game. You know, it was 7-0 and a 7-3. It's not as if this team's going to be fatigued to any extent. Obviously, G2 has had a bit of a gap as well. Not a very long one, albeit, you know, compared to what it could have been. It was, again, pretty sharp for G2. I actually feel as though that was like the perfect little break for G2 because it was kind of short enough where you're not losing your energy from the previous series, and also not long enough where you're sitting there, you know, thinking, how long are we going to be playing this next series for? Then I think it actually the time that BDS were able to take down Wolves actually suits G2 pretty well.
Before insertion.
Well, will there be a mirror, or will we get a longer stretch here between these two teams? At this point, as has been sort of decreed and decried, they are both qualified for the Munich Major. Does not mean that is all there is to play for. Obviously, we have expectations of who's going to be in the top 3, but if you can get in towards the top 2, well, then your SI points jumps up massively from the current 50 that they're sitting on up to 150 for second and 300 for finishing in first place, which I think you'll be pretty happy with if you wanted to sort of write your way home, especially as 300 has historically been and sometimes the cutoff, granted under different systems, but hey, we have what we've got with the numbers. At this point, G2 attacking and approaching from the top here. Quick eyes in towards Stock and across the top of Square as well. They're just going to sort of apply some pressure here on towards the swing. It's a big back and forth immediately, but get the wall cracked open. They can't quite find the way with the mute jammers, though. And that's a lot of utility dumped and destroyed in the split. They have the Habana, but can use most of our pellets to assume opening up Kanto or trying to, assuming there's a mute jammer there as well. And there's the long-range removal, and there is the start of the pressure on Robbie's position.
Yeah, nice little pinch there from G2. Take down the mute jammer, allow that ace to get that wall open. Forces Robbie now out of the corridor. So it will give them the stock office if they want to jump in there. But again, it is being watched by the Jaeger. But as long as you've removed that hallway, it does allow now janitors to be an option for G2 just to walk in and take that gunfight if they want through the wall. Hasn't been opened up as the mute and the tub is going to make that pretty difficult for them. But right now for G2, I mean, they're set up pretty well. A minute 12 still remaining or so. And I mean, they've got control of Square. They've cleared that hallway. Now it's just a case of getting this main wall open and then executing. You look at all the util that they still have. You've got all the smokes. You've got the Ying. I mean, everything right now is going G2's way, I feel.
Well, Stumpin gets the first frag as well, and he's looking for the second across janitors, but he can't quite get the shot in towards the bow, so the Blaz moves in under the cover of the smoke. They've got themselves close for a 5p4, took a risk, and unfortunately went gambling and didn't really get anything. There's the roll. The Candle is going deep, as does the players. They've cut themselves in. Doki's looking for a fight, and he finds one, looks for a second, can't quite get it on Robbie, but Lawyer will have to pick back up, leaves nobody left. G2 suddenly put the pedal to the metal, and they hit that open road.
Top tier attack, no doubt about it. You won't see a better one today. Straight to the point. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. The setup, everything from A to Z, pitch perfect. I don't have to say much else. Like everyone just watched it and said, "Yeah, that's good." Everyone knows that's good.
Yeah, that's the good one. That is.
Yeah.
But that I like the idea of obviously Alfama, Leo's brilliant content pieces where it's showing that
Why'd you put the French accent on it?
Because that's how he says it. He is French, so obviously that happened. But it's like, you know, when you put two in. Not that I didn't know Montaigne is mountain, but there was the thing earlier on which we actually talked about. Oh, I say joked about. When he was talking about a graphic with the mountain in, he did say Montaigne, and I was like, ah. Anyway, I was complimenting him, and then you made me go on a tangent. His brilliant content pieces where he talks about, you know, the defenses they could set up, having Shaiko staring up through the verticalities, great, all of this stuff. But I like the idea of seeing it from the attack side, because there is such a fluid bit of motion. As you said, they just sort of got themselves in the position, went for the pinches. I wonder how much harder it would be to swap that coordination round in terms of how do you not just set up a hold, but break a hold too. G2?
That's for the take 2, whenever we try that again.
That's for take 2. I want to see it, but with the worst IGLs. I want to see it with...
So the 5 who weren't there, is that who you want next?
No. As in you don't take IGL. You take like 5 entry fraggers.
Oh, 5 entries. Yeah,
and you go, 5 how do you solve this problem?
The thing is, none of them will speak. Nobody will open up first. They'll just stand there waiting and don't know what to do.
They look around for their IGL to ask what to do. Well, that's the way. Alamau gets Virtue on the split, but they do get 2 back in their favor. However, the loss of the smoke might be a cost of utility against, well, the loss of the utility. They do not have Doki on the Deimos to try and drive some of the vertical pressure and catch these loose players, and they now do not have that control of the verticality, the quick pressure they can apply on towards this site as well, where it's at its kind of its nicest and its most necessary. There goes the Ram. Stomping was able to at least get a little bit of the destruction done, but as Frack finds Alamau, it's down to Loira to do Loira things. Cut himself in towards Archives, waits for a player to drift in, hopefully. But as they know about Blaz's pressure, he is in such an open situation to get caught here, and they need a pinch to come together. But look at the motions of BDS. They've just left Demo.
Yeah. Loira misses the opportunity. Just played a little bit too passive and allowed Frack to get out of there. BDS, quite rightly so. Just go back to site, sit in your hands. You got a minute 15 to run down the clock. You've got that 2-player advantage. And Robbie, great swing, takes the aggression onto Loira. Blaz there with the trade, but still a lot more bodies that he needs to try and find. He will use the nade to try and remove that BP, but I'm sure there will be guns pointed towards his direction. Even a Fender or 2 that will just stop his approach. He knows he can't go through there. Even attack from top square. P4 takes the initiative. BDS lock it out. Good round from them. They stop that initial aggression coming in. He's eating a banana.
Who do we tell? Who do we tell about this?
What? He's in a game.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well, it's a banana. It's a fruit. Good potassium, awareness. What would you rather he did? Okay, I guess the thing here is that is obviously a finger food. You know, you're not going to eat a banana with a knife and fork unless you are a psychopath, and they should be investigated if your friend does do that. But he's then got hands and you hope he cleans his hands before he's on his keyboard and mouse again, right? Are you one of the people that
are slimy?
Yeah. Do you eat on your mouse pad?
No.
Okay. Good. That's all. If you eat, if you're listening, if you're out there and you eat on your mouse mat.
Oh, you know whose stream I clicked on earlier and was doing that?
Move up. Yeah, whose?
One of our own.
Oh, which one?
5 seconds to go.
It's not Anne, is it? Land.
Oh, it was Anne.
Yeah.
Anne. What was she eating on a mouse and keyboard?
I think was it cheese and tomatoes? I think it was cheese and tomatoes she was eating.
You menaced Anne. You were supposed to be the best of us. I'm heartbroken. I'm gonna have words with her after this. Byron, you mouse mat. G2. Slight change in the plan of flawlessing them, but I think they'll be more than happy to keep the continuing pressure. As we said before, you know, when these two teams met not a million years ago on this map, it was one that sort of played itself out where, you know, it's a very frequent sort of place for them to go. I think it was either an even opening or, because I have a very quick look. Yeah, it was actually a 4-2 attack opening here for G2, and almost the perfect reflection of what we've seen so far, but this could be the break in the pace if BDS can double it down, do what they couldn't do that time round. Get themselves locked in with a bit more growth. There's some of that initial pressure either side. They've gone back to the top. They do not want to go down to the basement. There's a site that they couldn't make land. Alamau! Easy pick, and Blaz gets Robbie back though. And that's just a... Oh, no!
Oh, well, at least it's traded.
We've seen a P4 moment like that before.
You bring up a really good point, though, about not wanting to go to basement here for BDS, and I think they're absolutely terrified about play G2, where G2 on that basement attack are just so smooth. So smooth on how they operate it. But then you look at the bans that G2 have went for, Azami and Castle, they're both design bans for this top floor. It makes this top floor so naked in many aspects. But the fact that BDS are still going here just proves how scared they are of going into that basement.
Yeah. Obviously, they could play with electrified hatches with Kai. They could play with some, like the mirror. They could play with any of the sort of utility that is often very early removed. And instead, as you said, here. But as Lasmo and Doki both take a little bit of a blow, Doki has done this. Sneaks his way in, misfires the first shot, and the slip through does get caught out. They've downed the player, but they haven't got the drop. But look at the position underneath. Somebody's coming around for the flank itself. They're going to see if they can try and get the catch. There's the end of one, and now the call's on the last player. But as you said, there's a chance at a C4, and there's a chance at Freck pulling it together. Now Blaz alone. Freck's going to potentially spray up. There's a spray over the top. Instead, they're actually going to rotate around towards main. I said they had really good retakes. We saw it earlier on. And now in the 2 versus 1, they've got to make sure that they operate together, but they don't quite get the right connection. Blaz is trying to dig a fight in the midst. There's a bit of coverage and emotion, virtue, experience, expertise leads to clutched rounds.
Oh, Blaz. That is a tough one. Did you notice as well, he kind of, as soon as he lost that, he leant back because he knew he messed up. He actually reaction flicked onto the meeting door, but then he realized, hang on a minute, that's a reward. He can't come that way, and then by that time it's too late. He gets shot in the back from Janitor, so yeah, that's a tough one there for Blaz. Just the instinct, you know, naturally you would check towards meeting, but nope, it's blocked off. Didn't need to look at that. That's a tough one for him. G2. I mean, a really good trade back and forth there for BDS just to make sure that they at least kept it level. I think that was the main thing, wasn't it? Was they didn't allow G2 to rack up, you know, the man deficit is what they had last time. So yeah, much better adaptation there for BDS, taking the fight to G2. Just don't allow them to set up the way that they want to. Better game plan.
I mean, that as an early drop is horrifying. B4. He's a player that takes risks. The P in his name stands for position. And he'll find himself in crazy positions and just keep trying to get kills out of them. Here we do go down to the basement though, obviously. I mean, what's the choice, right? Even when you know G2 are really good at attacking it, nobody enjoys defending Archives. Do you remember when Archives used to be like second in the rotation?
I remember, like, even back in, like, year 1, everyone kind of went to that bomb site. Like, like, nobody really wanted to go basement, like, back in, like, year 1, but those are different times.
Let me have a look at you, Capullo.
It was truly... Yeah, obviously there's been changes, and the meta has grown exponentially with the amount of operators, but there was an era... I'm going to say 4 years ago.
I always remember the most iconic moment I think we've gotten from Tellers and Archives was, if anyone remembers, I think it was Rally Major, Team Empire back then, against Secret in the semifinals. We seen the defuse through the wall. That was, like, I think, the iconic moment that we have from that bomb site.
It's like when you watch, like, Psycho the movie and you're like, oh, this is where all those other people got it from. It was that clever a moment and that clever a play that many people have tried to replicate since. But that was, it's Hall of Fame. Easy, you know. Now, this pressure. That mirror window means that that breach is going to be awkward. That is the purpose of it. They can't just get an easy deploy and an easy opening up. Blaz is going to have some major work to do. And maybe that's part of why they opted to take the Hibana. There is a lot of pressure, though, onto Hibana right now because of... Yes?
I was going to say... It's actually really clever from BDS. BDS have not chosen to go basement until they've had that extra ban. And look what they banned away. a Grim, another execution-based operator. But look at this. A plant attempted. Oh, he got off the plant to get the kill and then come back out again. He maybe could have stuck that, but then again, the C4 tells a different story. But yeah, actually forcing G2 to almost play a bit faster because they don't have the same execution operators up.
Well, they've somehow won the engagements. Now, Doki is a bit far away, and Blaz is just going to get picked up here. They have to ping on the player inside garage, so they rotate their way away and, oh, stack themselves up for the fight. Okay, fine. You can do that, Doki. You're allowed. Now he's got the kit, and he's going to pre-fire the engagement and stay behind the chassis. There's a premonition of Fret's position, and he sees the sort of chance at an engagement. He's hoping and baiting. It's his to take. Oh, and it's perfectly played! I don't know how he did the first, but you can see the measure in the man's steps for the second.
Oh, he had 2 bullets left, by the way. He just kept pre-firing and firing away, and I was worried he was actually going to run out of ammunition. But all he needed was the 2 bullets. I mean, Doki, that shot, by the way, wowzer. That is... Unlucky for BDS, you die like that. And, I mean, that is not, by the way, weirdest basement I think we've had all stage. No doubt about it, the way that that is moved around. I mean, an early plant at what, you know, around about the minute 45 mark. No real sight pressure, you know, the typical way of taking above. I mean,
the hip-fire drop hatch headshot is nothing you can repeat that a million times and not get it.
Just a brawl, wasn't it? Just a drunken brawl, really, who would come out on top because there was no strategy at all.
I think that's part in case of G2's where they got into server quite early, saw that it was going to be a weird breach and went, well, I think they're hoping this will slow us down. I think we can just sort of stick ourselves in. Obviously went, okay, well, we know, you know, X amount of people is upstairs, run the numbers, let's go for it. It was good reaction from BDS. In fact, great reaction to make sure that they could stop the plant, pressure on, get the kill. But then at the same time, G2, for as long as we've sort of talked about this current roster, especially, oh, they love that chaos. They love to thrive in it and do or die in it. Doki almost stood up for the die bit there. Suffers a bit of a scrape from the top floor, and as Lasmo has the Scopos, they can get themselves out of there. If they do so require, but otherwise just pressure the time, pressure the play, and see if they can put the extension across back towards office and open area. Again, last time BDS were on the defense against a G2 attack on this map, they got 2 rounds. I want to see if they can try and improve that. And that's not the best way of starting it. There goes the opener statistic.
Oh, B4. Also goes down the lawyer in through the top floor. BDS not off to a flying start, as with only a minute being burned away and 2 deaths. That's it. They still have to go against all the util that is still in the pockets of G2. And Blaz on a backstab here, looking to move in through lobby, but he has to be careful. He has the diffuser if he goes down in a awkward position. Could be an issue for G2. Certainly BDS, I think backs are up against the wall, and it does feel as though they have to try and make a play, and I think that's maybe what Virtue's after here. He's looking to get a little bit aggro and catch a player of G2 by
he's
surprise.
On his cams in the blue. He's on his cam.
Loading.
He was watching. Alamar was setting himself up. Okay. Looking at more and more ridiculous kills as Fret gets 1, but now he's got to get another 4 to keep themselves fighting here and keep themselves in the lead. But look at this encircling. You've got pressure on lobby. You've got pressure bottom main. Pressure inside the site as well. Does get the header 1, but it's just sort of unsurmountable odds there as they came crashing across the site like a wave. G2 pull ahead once again. Get themselves 3 attacks confirmed.
Oh, G2, fast and furious to pick things up in that round, and then just took their time, got there in the end. For G2, everything is kind of going to plan. I mean, you're on course now, of course, for the 4-2 half, and yeah, just easy as you like it for G2 as expected. It's, you know, it's their map. It's what we expect from them. And, you know, I think whenever you kind of think about G2 and especially the story of Bank that we've kind of seen develop from them. And, of course, we had that kind of big match on Bank that they went up against Secret. But Secret were just... Talk about, you know, G2 being good on Bank. Imagine what the team was like who beat them. You know, Secret were in a different league of their own on that day, but again, still, it's going to be a good map for G2 nonetheless. That was just two top teams going at it on a map that both of them are so good on, and sometimes that's the way the bigger games go, is we just kind of see those lopsided victories. But yeah, still, I think for G2, everything's going to plan. Everyone's doing their part. Nobody's kind of off the track at the moment. Everyone on the board, everyone's doing the job. BDS, I mean, BDS aren't like too far away from as well. They've got their stat spread just a little bit lower, still in there, but I think they kind of need this round, don't they? Because in a 4-2 that they have to come back on, that could be quite tricky.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, there's almost that element where it was too tricky before. You're attacking, but it's not really where BDS have the strength. They've sort of obviously shown a very dominant defense today, but the split is you're against a team that absolutely loves attacking. And they'll put this extra pressure on towards your better half, and then they get on towards the defense, where being an attacking defender still plays well for them. Stompin finds P4. First is cut in half, as still eyeing up this cross pressure. This Frack does get Blaz back. They're going to try and stick the plant. Alamout's in with the shield on his back. The coverage of the smoke itself, and just the Glaz waiting and sort of saying, look, come and swing onto me. There's a post plant with the windows. They finally find the end of the planter, but now they have two players out on the windows. And Demo, you have two options. Jump out of the top square where you've got Loira sitting waiting for that, or go into lobby and try and get the fight there. So they opt for lobby. They're just going to open themselves up a wider route. One of them drops down to watch for exactly that, and one of them is still on the rappel. There goes the rappel player. That's a double swing out. Now it's just Doki left. Doki gets one, but he's a billion miles away. BDS, another great retake for the day.
Yeah, it's the same of what they did to Wolves on console, wasn't it? They are very quick to come up with a game plan, aren't they? You know, they kind of have it mapped out where if, you know, X, Y, Z, if this happens, we know what to do. If this happens, we know what to do. And yeah, they're not... Whenever the plant goes down, nobody from BDS is immediately panicking or freaking out or, you know, anything like that. They're waiting until the game plan is called, and then they all do it together, which is the main thing that I need to get across with how good that is from BDS, is that you're not dealing with individuals, you're retaking as a team. You know, yes, we've seen sometimes an individual can go massive and on a retake and pick up these big kills. But why risk it? Play together, play as a team, make it so you're trading bodies back and forth, especially whenever they had the extra man. Use that extra man as a sacrificial lamb, and then just trade the kills, and eventually you'll win. So I love the game plan there for BDS in that retake. Yeah, they've been very good today on it.
I think it's also the sort of statement worth making is that, yeah, you can have a player go big on a retake. As you said, they're lifted up, they're put into that position by the teamwork, by the threading. The same way we talked about it on sort of Consulate when it would happen before. It's not just Freck getting a triple kill. Look at how he waits, look at how he moves with the rest of the team. But when they make this many sort of retake, regardless of the team that they're up against, stick and be successful, that is entirely the sign of a team that's prepared for it. It's a team that's probably drilled it in a lot of situations. As you said, they don't panic, they operate really well together, and it's a very necessary part of a team's kit that you don't want to have to use, but you prepare for the worst and you hope for the best. And it feels like they've been preparing for the worst and have practiced at the recital.
Drone ready.
An even half is growth from the last time they were here, but now the pressure is on to BDS to try to make their attacks stick instead of where they've sort of had it before, and it's not a million miles worse. As the attacking statistic and the entry goes back and forth, it's sudden blows. Look at Robbie's sort of position here. He's driven immediately in towards elevator. Loira is going to see if he can try and pick up the pieces in the middle of the floor, but predicts where he's being watched. It's Freck with the kit. So Freck's just going to peel back just a little, and they look for the engagement elsewhere. Loira, there's one. Scratches for the second as pressure comes in behind him, but he's almost driven himself a route out. He's going to try and fight his way through. He knows the blind's coming, and he knows the players are going to be not that much further behind it. Caught by the tail end of a Candela and finally put out of the misery, but still being able to get 1 kill and get away with it as BDS surround him shows what he's capable of.
Yeah, and honestly, a really good pick as well. You know, being able to take off that Dokkaebi, we know that the universal ability that she has is going to be great for those kind of 3-2-1 executions. I think the biggest issue here for BDS is going to be how do you remove the Goyos without your nades? You've lost the sledge. So they're going to have to be in a position where you can shoot them off, and there's still a roamer that they have to try and deal with. Stomping, he's going to get a few fire arrows tossed towards him, and it means he has to go for the peak, and Virtue is there to clean him up. But still, a lot of time denial on side here for G2. That's the only thing they have going for them here. You've got the smokes, you've got the Goyo, you've also got the C4, but look at this BDS. They're not even going to give them an opportunity to go for the deny. They've dropped hatches quickly.
Well, there goes one body. Was it the risk? Was it worth the trade? There's a second Doki! Oh, Virtue, a little bit of drift of a position, and that leaves Freck in the 1 versus 2, but positionally he's right in the middle, so he's going to blind one. Maybe drive onto the second as it's revealed. Hey, man, you're on cam. We know what you're trying to pull. There's the next bit of cover. He takes a scrap of damage, and he's just going to try and drift through, but Doki goes a bit wider. BDS maybe a little bit premature in trying to play against that, you know, time denial game. And yeah, they were really, really quick to the punch, got themselves the 4 versus 4, then the 3 versus 3, and they were always seemingly trying to apply the pressure. But in the 3 versus 2, they almost gave them the round in a manner. It became 3 sort of 1 versus 2s. There wasn't the chance for them to operate, and maybe simplifying a little bit at the end. It's been a nicer way to land it. There, it was great pinch. The fire forcing him into the gun. Virtue. Just that moment, I think, defined the round.
Again, I don't hate the idea there from BDS.
Attackers have located the
I think
bomb.
they knew they would struggle based on time. You know, whenever you have all the Goyos, the smoke, trying to go default, it ain't gonna work. So I like the fact of trying to go quick and trying to take it to them. But that's the risk. You know, whenever you're kind of foregoing util, which essentially that's what the
5 seconds to insertion.
who was the first one who dropped the Capitan? Or was it the Ace? Who was it? Whoever it was. The first one he dropped, you know, he's playing no util game. It's just a straight gunfight. And you either win it or you lose it. Simple as that. And if you lose that, you come out as the villain instead of the hero in that story.
Yeah. G2, they get themselves the first, but it was a narrow margin, and that's something BDS are going to keep in their heads, as it was the basement site, a site G2 are prolific on, both their attack and their defense. Fine. We schmoove, we keep going. We got themselves the even half, and you can still try and put that pressure on other sites. You get this, and suddenly that second site, something you know you're going to see a couple more times, potentially if you win it now, is going to be something that you can play in towards your favor. We talked about those operator bans from before. Castle, the Azami, making this site a lot more sort of sticky. Here, they're both on the board, Demo.
Yeah, this is the big thing that BDS have to try and overcome, is just the sheer amount of util that G2 have on board. And this is the kind of duality of what the bans kind of allows you and kind of disables you to kind of have on the defense. Obviously, with the castle and the Azami, it was banned away from BDS, so their top floor was very naked. You look at the difference now with G2. Areas being fortified. You think about the CEO windows, the double windows in towards the site. Just, it really hinders your approach in terms of what you want to try and do here as BDS. And G2, again, can just dig their heels in. Doki's got all the Kiba barriers too to try and block off the windows. And Doki, oh, not again! How has he done it twice? Ow!
I cannot believe he's had 2 hip fire spray headshot kills whilst falling. Ludicrous. Gets 2 kills, throws himself. I mean, it was always going to happen at some point. If you're on bank, Doki is throwing himself out of one of those windows to see what happens. 2 kills unpunished and a flawless round. Even he can't believe it.
Just
I mean,
lucky bugger, isn't he?
I wish I had that much luck. The first great skill, like, we're not just... But it's hip fire sprays.
Yeah.
He'll admit it himself. When Fresh gets on the interview and says, "Hi, Jack," and he says, "Hi, Jack,"
You've done
back.
it twice. Yeah. Well, the Brook Jack. That's why they say hello to each other.
Yeah, there. But this, I mean, a hip-fire headshot spray is just... It's rough.
Is there another Harry in the league? Is there another high Harry moment, maybe? I don't know. Have we ever had a pro player called Harry?
I don't know.
I'll try and be the first then.
You could be the first?
Yeah.
You've technically qualified for some leagues a couple times.
Yeah, once.
What league did you qualify for?
No, wait, twice. Yeah, back
Yeah, I
in
think you've done it
the
twice.
Prem days. Yeah, the Prem
you
days.
qualified for Prem twice. A Prem that, you know, had people like Doki in it at the time.
Correct. Hasn't grew since then. Still add that in as well. Looks the same.
Well, adults, I don't think, historically, unless you get like...
But I met him at 18 and I was thinking, mate, surely are you still
Bomb
growing? That was the
located by
first question I asked. So actually the first question was, sorry, did you lose your father somewhere in the studio? Do you want me to help you find him, young boy?
Oh, wow.
That's what I said.
Okay. You messed him up. I see.
I was just trying to help him, just that he looked lost.
I know it's, you know, it's generically like a Scottish energy thing. I do love that he brings the kind of energy to an interview that Lewis Capaldi does.
Very just, it's his show now as everybody comes on.
Oh,
shit,
yeah,
it's his
yeah,
show.
Is to defuse a bomb.
Like, such strong similarities. Good patter aside, you assume they had the same during the timeout. As G2 now, 5-3 up, this is their map. But every map is a chance to fight for it. As we said before, they are in the showdown, the underdogs. They're looking to try and get that third spot place and look towards the top two. Anything that helps them get a slightly nicer sort of kitty from the total possible money, and then also what can get them more SI points. That is what is on the board. The steady approach here. Wonder what BDS sort of talked about with their approach, what they can try and remove and play against. Unfortunately, it's not Freck. Doki takes the boogie drones out before they even begin to whir. And Virtue does get Loira back though, so does level things up, but at this point, the trade out between a Loira on that role and sort of Ram, who are you sadder about losing?
Oh, great player there from G2, doubling up Doki, spraying through the wall, just ever so slightly makes P4 just have to almost adjust his aim there, and then Blaz comes in for the swing. But you see G2 in this setup here. I mean, this is the power of having the Izami in the castle. Look how safe those players are in towards that top floor. Haven't been pressured at all. Good pick there against his former teammate. Down goes Doki. Caught him as he cut across the bomb site, as I think he was quite fearful there of that Blackbeard coming in to ruin him. And Virtue's just going to try and full send it in. Oh, takes down Stompin. Free piece for Virtue. He is firmly into the bomb site now. Robbie gets the down on the Blaz, and all of a sudden G2. But are relying on Alama of all people to try and get the clutch, and no chance at all whenever you're up against the Blackbeard. BDS.
Yeah.
Finally get themselves in here.
It was good. I mean, the way they sort of handled themselves, obviously they lost that opening engagement. They didn't let it throw them. They still kept on reconvening in a weird way. It's sort of the stuff that we complimented them on in terms of their retakes, right? Is they go with the information that they've got. They're able to orchestrate a plan together, find the sort of sneak in, get kills moment. It's an opportunity seeking that we've always complimented them on, as well as earlier today. They will look for opportunities. They don't just sort of rest and hope for them to happen. They know that you've got to make your own luck, and they are feeling lucky in a few of these rounds. I mean, the sort of route through as well, just catch on towards Doki, the force of pressure, and here the swing in. Virtue winning it out. Suddenly then at that point, what do you really have? You lose the core hold on the site itself. And you know somebody's trying to toe-to-toe with a Blackbeard on the top floor. It's a little bit rough.
I'm reloading.
Oh, here we go.
Yep, back on and
Round
clash on the board.
Yeah, I think for G2 and the kind of different approach now, it is going to be a little bit more centered around trying to control the game. Obviously with that clash, you know what she's going to bring to the table. But I also like the addition of this Oryx. Now, look, it's an operator which isn't very, picked a lot. It's a very niche pick, no doubt about it. It is. And, I mean, here's the thing about Oryx. What does he really do? He runs into shields. That is the biggest thing that we know that Oryx can do really, really well, is that counters the multi especially. But how often do you get that opportunity? Not very. But whenever it comes to hatches, very underutilized ability that he can also do that we never really see happen, apart from this bomb site. Yeah? Whenever you think about the way that the basement is and just how big it is and just the way it sprawls across more or less the entire mid-floor for the hatches and stuff that drops down into areas such as vault, also in towards open area. Typically, teams will come in and open up all 5 hatches. Usually, that lobby hatch is only opened up just as a bit of phantom pressure, just that, open up, say, to the defenders, you know what, we could drop the back hatch if we wanted to. We're not going to, but you don't know that. Whereas the Oryx can go on the front foot, utilize his ability, and jump up that hatch. This is an area which is never going to be held by a flight cam because it's not near a staircase. So there's obviously going to be a possibility for that Oryx. And the fact that they hit that, unless BDS spot him out and know, they're not going to know what hit them if Stomping can play his cards right.
Removing the barb on the stairs to just try and let Freck enter the building. I love this sort of got themselves the early warning signals on either side. BDS, they're preparing themselves for a 3-2-1 as the Bs come out. Remember, this clash is the support for Doki. If Doki gets under too much pressure and needs to get out of there, it's going to be the clash that drives the support. Now, as they get some of the destruction inside the site itself, sat waiting patiently, and here's a fight in the middle, and oh, Stomping didn't quite get the rewards that he maybe hoped for. Great comms, great response, but Alamau is at least able to level it off. Gets rid of P4. There's the
Loading new magazine.
Okay, not entirely sure what happened there.
I'm dry. No more mags.
But it wasn't good, Demo.
No, and there's not a massive amount of plant denial also on the side of G2. All they have is the echo cams, and they've lost the shield. The Gone 6 gets pulled out. Now G2 are really up against it. And Freck looking for that backstab too, and that main stairs, that could also cause them issues.
Well, here's the plant with the glass as the cover. They're watching for the long range, and as you said, there's nothing really to stop it. An Echo drone, is almost not in the right place. Does get picked up by the cover, so now the Echo's got to make a move. Sprays and pre-fires on towards the glass, but it's actually Blaz that gets the cross, and Alamau gets the cover. Blaz from deep is able to lock it out, and there's only 10 seconds. So Freck now swings in close for the fight, but Blaz, well predicted, hit the hammer home. Lasmo, in the meantime, goes for the plant. Blaz, he's been able to pull this from before, has a bit of the cover of the smoke itself. It's a post plant. He pre-fires his way out the door, but Blaz, 3 for the round, but look at his health Demo.
Oh my. I mean, Blaz, this guy. What a round from him. Single-handedly dragging G2 out of a round loss. G2 had nothing. Look, I'll praise Alamau. The fact that he got that first initial stop with the yokai was enough to allow Blaz to get in position, to stall out some of that util, and he plays that long angle. That long angle that looks straight onto that E-full plant position. And this is where I'm going to get pretty critical of Freck. I think Freck needed to move. Freck was almost playing flank protection and main stairs, whereas if I'm Freck, surely you try and go aggro there and attack that backstab. Because Freck isn't applying any pressure towards main stairs, towards that back bit of the bomb site, you're allowing Blaz to get into that garage ramp and kill that player on the diffuser. That would be my only criticism there of BDS in terms of why they lost it. Yes, Blaz went massive, no doubt about it. But Freck, mate, you need to get in there.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Here's a very unrelated point, very quickly, related to a previous conversation, because Easy sent me the list of 2 Harrys that have played in Tier 1 CG Esports or been involved in it.
2 of them?
2. One was Crux, the old Dark Zero analyst.
Okay.
Also worked on Beast Coast. And 2,
is that
there was a
player?
No, well, they're an analyst. But there was a 6 Karma player back in 2021 whose name was Harry.
Oh, and a 6 Karma, I'm assuming Mexican players?
Yeah. A retired Mexican.
Right up my street, we can communicate. I also speak Spanish. Great.
Well. How do we know it wasn't you?
Bring him on the show. We'll have a conversation.
Yeah, we don't know what he's up to, but the legal, there you go. But she's just sort of playing a bit of a waiting and baiting game as P4 slips their way in. Gonna try to remove anything that can play against this. They did have the pocket EMPs, but there's the first bit of pressure. There's the first pocket EMP. There's the second, the follow through, and the X-Kairos will pop. Is Loira gonna trick this? Sounds like there was a bit of pressure, and well, the Tubarau's gonna make it pretty simple to at least delay. And there is the first bit of an explosion. So, fortunately for them, only half of those will pop off. Took a little bit too long to get the Tubarau on. And that means everything sort of is half completed, but the angle is what BDS want, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not... I don't think it's a great angle, per se. I think you would still like the right side open, too, because it gives you a much longer angle. There is still potential for G2 to maybe work their way around that opening. Still, though, able to get the first pick onto the Echo. Great operator to take off the board. You see that G2 are really leaning in as well with the information. You've got Maestro and the Echo, so plenty of cameras. For BDS, what's their option going to be here? I mean, there's a lot of them on the rooftop at the moment. They've got a little bit of pressure from Square on the Spider-Man rappel is where Virtue's going to go. P4 able to get Doki, but G2 still holding firm, not gifting any kills from that rappel. But still, P4's got his way up through Spiral.
Yeah, I think this is the main thing, right? They're top Spiral now, 40 seconds. They can start trying to formulate a push. The smoke is buying them time, but you can see G2 are desperately trying to hold on to as much terrain here as possible. And Blaz getting the swing onto one. There's the response, though. There's the explosion on towards the site. A 2 versus 1. With a lot of time here for the 2 remaining players. They're just going to set themselves up behind the bomb chassis, go for the plant with Freck as a cover. They have the info, as you said, but seemingly so do BDS. Knew he was coming. Came off and went for the kill.
Yeah, good stuff from there from Virtue. Just has that kind of heads up gameplay thinking, you know what, probably going to be swinging from meeting. And yeah, takes him down. BDS, good attack. Just waited until they had everything lined up. Really good util dump. They picked up their kills. They came away with the extra man, and then they just play out that 1v2. So yeah, great job there from BDS. Better from them. I mean, it's just a good game of Bank overall. I think both teams have had really good rounds. A lot of them have came down to fine margins. I mean, may I be so bold and say that I don't know why I feel as though the BDS have maybe been the better team. Is that crazy for me to say?
No, it's because they have to be, right? You have to run the numbers in these sort of engagements where you have baselines of how teams have performed and will perform. And I think regardless of the results, the BDS have made sure that in terms of, I think, their communication and the clarity of what we can see, because obviously we're not sat there in the comms, it's been really well put together.
Yeah. And I gotta mostly just look at it from a perspective of there's been some big individual moments here from G2, which have really cemented it that, you know, the reason why G2 are leading in this game. But I don't know, I just think BDS, I've loved watching their rounds play out on both defense and attack. I think they're just the way that they react. I think the G2 is great. You know, that's something that a lot of teams have struggled with, you know, against G2 this stage. It's how do you deal with a team where even G2 themselves don't even know where they want to go, because they have so many of these individuals that can just go off on an adventure. And we don't really know what they're going to get up to. And I think that's very difficult to counter against, but I think BDS are really keeping up the pace with G2.
Well, only one more round separates us from either OT or getting ourselves onto a quick break. This time, they're going to bring the blitz and see if they can try and make that have a bit of a connection on towards the open site itself. You've obviously got the full exploration of the map. Got the Valkyrie playing alongside the Scopos. It gives you this room for growth. A lot of C4s, they're not going to say playing for a retake, but sort of trying to bait them in. Come on in, come above. There's the first C4. It's thrown over the top, and they somehow drop the blitz, and that could be a moment that deems us as heading in towards the next map. Whoa, what a connection for Loira. Blaz finds Freck, and Blaz finds another, and all right. You say they have their moments, Demo, and that's been G2's difference. This has been a moment.
Wow, wow, wow. Loira against Shields today. Unbelievable. Honestly, he's just brilliant, isn't he? He really is. BDS just gonna lose it here, I think, on Bank, unless they can pull off some big kills in Alamau. In Alamau fashion, as usual, tries to hinder his team by giving a very easy kill away to BDS. But still, 4 players that they need to find. They've got under a minute to do so, and they don't even have the kit yet. They have to go and pick that up still.
Think about where the kit is too. It's so awkward in its position on towards top blue. It can be watched from so many different places. And at this point, you have to clear underneath it. You have to be aware of underneath it. They know a player's on the bottom of the stairs, and they could play their life here. And that still takes 15 seconds, 20 seconds out of the approach. And they play their life and get a kill anyway. Blaz is in. There's the pickup. There is G2 with their map. What was the last movie you watched? As we get our bands done.
I watched Fellowship of the Ring 2 days ago.
Oh, great. What? I assume the extended edition. Of course, because no other editions, anything short of exists. Truly a great of all time. Now I want to go watch the Lord of the Rings movies. I know what I'm doing with my evening. Anyway, we're in on club. Capital and Maverick removed here for the attackers. My first thought is you're going to have problems on towards the rafters, and maybe some of the game. We've seen struggles with Maverick a little bit before in terms of getting the hard breach. Where does your mind go?
Well, I mean, my mind goes just through the kind of history of the map for both of these sides. I think that's the really interesting story about today is for a very, very long time, G2 would never go in towards Clubhouse here. They always banned this out. Whereas today, they threw it in as a bit of a curveball in their game against Gen G, which is already a bit crazy considering that Clubhouse is like Gen G's like favorite map, and they still went there and beat Gen G. And then the fact that G2 have pulled it out here again, it's nuts. And I think whenever you think about BDS in this map, you know, BDS clobbered Gen G 7-2 on it in the playoffs earlier on in the month. And then you also look at their game against Falcons. Yes, they did lose that, but again, not a bad showing. So it's a really good map for BDS. So yeah, I think for G2 coming into this game, going to Clubhouse again, I mean, is it stupidity or is it sheer brilliance?
Well, fool me once, shame on however many times we've used that phrase recently. At this point, obviously, G2, they're sitting one map away from progressing alongside what has been a very quick day. There's a quick play against it, waiting to see if they can try and trick it, but no bueno. There's great use of a Twitch drone there. B4 does what the job needed to be done, and has since...
Look at that recoil. Do not use that gun. Oh my word. That gun went straight up off the window. Oh, well. Speaking of guns, DMRs. Again, always going to be a topic. And there's Lawyer on the one of 2 DMRs that the defenders still have access to. Virtue is able to get the trade, though. So, honestly, I think Virtue has had such a kind of steady game. Even just a steady kind of series as well. I think he's just appeared with really important kills here and there, and wow, Virtue giving it back to his old former teammates there, Alamau and Doki.
Yeah, I mean, as we came into the map as well, as Freck finds Loira, there was a little bit of a cute moment of like, good luck, have fun, you too, baby. But you know the history between these. They were already setting themselves up to fight outside the major as well. Now, can Blaz and Stomp it hold out? We talked about how G2, they in some books, weren't the stronger team on the previous map, and they did it off of clutch plays, and now they're going to see if they can try and do that once more. Sprays either side, and there's finally an execution. Freck was watching and waiting for that fight, and look at this surrounding BDS. Get rid of the last problem in the bathroom. Get themselves off to a first round start.
Yeah, easy enough for BDS. No real issues for them. Just a pretty standard take coming in from Cash. Taking construction, playing the windows, flood in free logi. All standard stuff, but BDS did it to a very high level. And, you know, even though BDS had lost bank, still really good showing from them. You know, that's the thing that the desk kind of mentioned was, even you can still have a good performance and lose. And I think for BDS, whenever you are dealing with a best of 3, it's fine. You've still got another map to go before you're really, you know, I've really lost the game. You can lose a map as long as you don't lose a series.
I think that's it, right? Is you take blows. And it's one of the lessons that always needs to be learned by a team that's going on towards the international stage, is that suddenly that thing that seems so rare and is usually the end of your run for a lot of teams that haven't hit internationals, the best of 3s, becomes the norm. You have to have a wider map pool. The map pool is the maker or the breaker of a lot of teams, and that whole element of prediction in terms of bans, of sort of preparation in terms of how you're going to ban against teams as well, can't be as decisive. It's the game of chess that the coaches play before the rest of them get into the boxing segment. At this point, off to the first step, and I want to talk about the sort of bans and the removals. It's two aspects of almost two different plays against the hard breach and against obviously the Keybers to give themselves that further extension and give themselves the range and the routes they can run. The destruction of the castle underneath. Blaz deploys on that clash shield. We've seen it not be the most effective thing in the one demo we had in the previous map, but we'll see if this one is something that runs them a little bit better.
Again, good basics here from BDS. Just using the util that they have, clearing away that downstairs hold. Can't stay common to see that lounge hold coming in with the castle. BDS look as though they want to actually go for a construction take. They've got themselves in towards bedroom, and now we're obviously going to be looking for an opportunity to open up that single wall. But it's also very interesting the fact that, you know, they've also brought the Monty in. You know, generally the Monty we would kind of see be used for pushing garage, but they're actually going to use the shield for construction take, and where they're going to use them, I'm still not quite sure. What is the ideology here with bringing the Monty in if you're not going to go garage?
They're looking for at least something before they can try and make their approach here, but they've not actually really been headed anything. And as he said, the lack of approach, I called it at the time. With the Capital ban, it becomes a bit more awkward to get your stretch in towards the garage side, and yeah, you can send the Monty up, you can have the coverage, but outside of flashes, they don't have anything. No frag grenades, nothing to hop over the top. They really cannot remove that player. And they can't get into this position as well because of the clash. They finally find the first, and it's on to Alamau. Castle's gone, and that's more on towards the site itself as the clash just buys themselves some time. He's about to be surrounded, and Doki wins out inside rafters. But Lasmo, taking red stairs, could be a big lead in, unless that happens. There's the catch. Stomping gets one. Freck almost gets got by Doki, but somehow absolutely decimates the man on rafters. And now with 40 seconds, a 2 versus 2 as Loira just bites back.
Oh, the issue here is, though, Emmy, one of them's a Monty. So really, it's up to Freck to get the kills. I mean, Virtue, he's going to try and swing with a pistol, but Stomping has repositioned himself into construction, and oh no, the barbed wire is what takes out Freck. Oh my. BDS, I thought in really good shape. It was looking good, and then really just Doki rude things from rafters, didn't they?
Oh, well, that's the power of that position, right? You know, it wasn't that it wasn't entirely uncontested. They obviously were trying to put pressure on, and the way that they removed the problem is ridiculous, in that Freck went past, swung back, got the kill. But I mean, these sort of tragedies that we get to see play out in front of us, it's just that sort of powerful position. And That is just... It's like a horror film. Spooky season. You want like a full like Metal Gear like dying sound.
It's actually very on theme. That's like a saw death right there, isn't it?
Snake! Yeah.
Was that the first ever
5
saw
seconds
kill?
left
Was the
before
barbed wire in?
insertion.
It was definitely
sure it
up
was.
there as an early one.
I'm pretty sure it was the
Yeah.
first. I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the early where those films started, and then they got to the point where they tried to dress him up as a young man, and they just put a ball cap on him. I'm like, yep, he's wearing a cap backwards.
Just save yourself the hassle, watch the first 3 and stop.
It's like when they also, you know, Dexter, the TV show, talk about horror stuff, and their way of making him look young was to just put a really bad wig on him.
Oh.
Amazing cinema. Freck is almost sat watching. Took a bit of a scrap as he walked towards the site, and then he took a little bit more as he smashed open the door, and I think that's just sort of G2 saying, no, come on in. If you think you're hard enough, let's step up. And 5-1, he's definitely having a decent start.
Reloading.
Interesting approach from BDS, choosing to ignore the roamers. Stompin and Loira were both intending and holding in towards CC and Cash. But nobody really interested in actually challenging onto that, which I find a little bit strange. When you're leaving roamers up there, one, it's going to kind of restrict you in being able to work in areas such as oil pit and also blue. Because really, if you're Robbie in this position, you know, you're going to want to try and play around blue hatch, utilize your nades and the Deimos combination, but you're always going to feel a little bit threatened because you know that there's a player upstairs. So it's just something that BDS have to be so careful of, and it is a massive risk. You know, that roamer could completely ruin the approach here for BDS, who are very headstrong at the moment, may I add, and just trying to get themselves into the bomb site.
Well, the headstrong fight is going to swing its way out over stock. They're still adapting and moving themselves away. Stompin goes up as well. Makes the choice to be a problem later, but as Alamo goes down inside the site, that means that they can operate with way less bodies. Drop on the hatch, pre-fire either side as Blaz gets caught out around AK, so I assume there's the trade back as P4 just actually instead just keeps driving. There's the trade back. Doki gets one and gets himself across the divide, but oh, too many options, too many possibilities, and stuck for choice, leaving Stompin. Going up above turned into the problem of, well, they know he's not below. Misses the first engagement as the track comes out. I mean, this is just a bit brutal. The burial at the end of a long round. The Deimos calling everything that he's doing. In fact, joins the hunt. Trades out for one. BDS, great execute.
Yeah, good stuff from BDS. Again, a little bit risky leaving Stompin up, but Stompin and his attempted flank did not work going in towards blue. It would have been a different story if he was able to get one. But nope, misses out on that opportunity because that G2 just could not... It just couldn't hold back against all that pressure that BDS were applying with their util. You've seen their nade placements were really good. That player in towards AKs just couldn't do anything. And again, a very difficult position to play if you don't have the Azami up. And you can see that BDS, you know, they went for that Azami ban. They've restricted at that point where really the person who plays in there, all it takes is one nade because he's going to be held from the hatch every single time. He can't get out of that position. So, yeah, good work from BDS, assessing the weak points, using their bans that they've went for. Strong stuff. 2-1.
It's good traded rounds. I think that's that sort of important follow-through, right? Is they're not being shy, they're not being sort of passive, they're on their attack, which is their weaker half, and they know that it's a map that obviously has been tested in manners towards G2. They need to make sure that they sort of keep testing it, keep putting the pressure on, and
10 seconds to go.
in that same sort of excuse, you know, how far could Gen G get with it? How far can they get with it? All the way towards OT. Think about how that sort of played out from the side of Gen G was primarily on their defense. At this point, BDS have already leveled what was done on the attack by Gen G, and it's still very early doors. They can keep themselves sort of driving forward. If they can get one more, then suddenly that overtime that played out statistically wouldn't have played out earlier on today. And then you think about, okay, well, bank, if there wasn't a couple of clutches, statistically, those rounds could have gone away. They're not a million miles away, BDS here. And the pace has been brilliant as they get themselves set up around CC, apply the pressure here on towards Rafters, and start to see if they can clear across.
For BDS, it is a very slow and measured approach with a lot of these rounds. They're just going to take their time, use their util really well, just doing the basics. And really for Clubhouse, if you can do your basics, that is the main thing that we look for. And really the top teams in the world on this map are teams who can play that slow play style, because there is a massive checklist that you have to go through on a map like Clubhouse. Yes, there are rushes, don't get me wrong. We see a team like Team Secret do really well on this map because of those like little pocket rushes that they can pull out, but they are very difficult to do. Secret, I would say, are an exception to that, so usually it is a slow and methodical playstyle that we expect to see, and BDS doing a great job. You can see that they're also really safe. They do not want to give picks away from G2, because that's where they know G2 is going to be at their strongest. If you're giving G2 those freebies, they're going to run the man cap up and up and up, and you just can't get through that. So I like the way that BDS are approaching this, slow and steady. Will it win the race, though?
At this point, the first scrappy engagement comes together, ultimately in Doki's favor, but in the meantime, Freck got caught out elsewhere. That's your ace gone. That's also the limitations now of your hard breach. Whatever's opened had to be what needed to be opened, and you hope that they've got that pressure itself. Going to try and recollect the kit. In the meantime, obviously, Loira went down, but Loira often plays those extended positions. They've lost it out, and they're still trying to get some pressure underneath Doki. The Buck whirring away, but think about the time, think about the pressure, and almost another body taken out. But now they've got this side closed down. They've still got to pass construction. Not another barbed wire. Oh, not another round for stomping. Virtue drifts on by and drops him like he was nothing. Leaves us in again. Another 4 versus 2 on this site. But bit of motion gets one. They also get one elsewhere as well. And narrow escape, but now they know exactly where the last player is. Alamau, he has 2 smokes in his pocket. He could try and buy himself an escape route and get some wiggle room, but look at the rotation. They're just going to go get the kit, try and get a little bit of width on the approach so they can throw themselves in. 13 seconds, and when they hit it, it's got a stick, and it does. BDS, 3-1.
Surprised he didn't take the opportunity to actually reposition, because he had plenty of opportunities to do so, but no, just stuck in the corner. He didn't want to move. But BDS, again, just very simple and basic siege on that top floor. A little bit more scrappier, had to dig in for some of those kills, but still, BDS just trucking through it. No real issues for them at the moment. Your G2 are trying to play that aggressive playstyle, but BDS are just very switched on for it. You know, they're not letting these opportunities go to waste. They've really been able to, I think, nullify the kind of clutch factor that obviously G2, we know they have in abundance. So I think that maybe, I mean, I kind of mentioned that I think BDS in that last map, I think they probably played the better siege. I think it was down to individuals and big clutches from G2 that got them over the line and bank. Whereas now you're faced a situation where G2, they're not clutching up these rounds. You know, BDS are winning them pretty decisively. And really for G2, it just kind of exposes that they're not maybe playing the greatest of siege today.
I think it's that sort of problem, right? Is there's the old adage, it doesn't matter how good you are, it matters how good you are on the day. Where if you're not quite pulling the game out, I mean, it's 2 best of 3s within the same day, within the same sort of space. You're already going to be tired and extended from one of them, but at the same sort of breath, they're lucky that they were able to do the distance before. Imagine if it was the other way around on the bracket, and G2 would have had to get through BDS to get a place in the major earlier on today. Would they, with their performance in that game and BDS in their performance, would it have gone that way? You know, it's those tough sort of bits of maths that you can try and throw together, and it doesn't matter ultimately at the end of the day, outside of it being a thought experiment.
Just like in training. Check
Sometimes hypotheticals are fun. Doki thinks being outside the building is fun. Let's see if we can maybe get an early peek on towards anyone that approaches from that spawn. It's Lasmo that could be the bait, but it depends if they've droned him out. Yes, they have, says the pre-fire directly to where his head was.
BDS. Not going to give G2 any opportunities at playing that aggressive game. Really for G2, I think that the timeout from Romalio is just try and maybe lean into more of a turtle, but look who they just lost. Blaz? How have you died? Where the shield is? What was he thinking?
They've really not used a clash bot today, G2. I mean, you know, it's not the most sort of obvious setup and operator, but I don't know what it is about how they've tried to deploy her today, but whoever has been holding onto the Clash Mantle has almost felt cursed that it sort of takes away from them. They've got 3 C4s
Swapping mags.
to try and catch either players above or delay the plant itself, and oh, there's at least one prep, but it doesn't quite get anybody. Loira takes a shoulder of damage. Nothing beyond. There's a little bit more of an explosion starts to happen above the side itself. It's not really happening inside. They have sort of peeled themselves back. There's a lot for the execute here for the side of BDS. They've still got loads of flashes, a couple of grenades. They've got, you know, the bees as well to go for the drive. They're set pretty comfortably to not be stopped here. And you're wondering at what point G2 operate.
It feels as though that BDS with that first pick, so much free range just to really do whatever they want to, and they've got everything that you would need. I mean, you've got the hatches open, you've got that util dump whenever it comes to blue, of course. Maybe the only issue is going to be that mirror window, because they have used all of the Habana pellets, so they don't have anything left to remove that mirror window. So I think triple wall church take, this is going to be bold. It feels as though that's what they want to try and go for here, but against that mirror window, I don't know. It's a big risk, and you have to make sure that your util is on point whenever you're going to go for this, but there's still Wamidis, there's still, you know, denial here of the util that G2 could utilize.
There's the stress, there's the pressure, and there's the first blow against them as Stompin finds Freck and finds a little bit of safety and sanctity amongst it, but they're playing on the wrong side of an open mirror window, so they could see that approach coming, and there's 2 more, 3 more, make it! Stompin gets himself another for the round, and Loira gets the end of it, and for all I sort of said they had for their execute, they could not make top or tails of it.
Yeah, just couldn't deal with the mirror windows. Yeah, I think they had the util for blue, and I think they maybe should have forced their hand a little bit more through that. Certainly the players in church, really that mirror window, just they can't do anything, and I just wonder how did he use all 18? Like, was he just impact trick through all of them? They don't even have like just a single 2 remaining?
There's a high possibility. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where you sort of try and run the numbers, but then you're bad at math.
It's just a weird one, because again, really good shape. You remove the clash right from the rip-off, 5v4, but
Located by attackers.
just nothing really comes off, and I just think it's down to G2 changing up their approach, playing a little bit more passive. Yeah, apart from maybe Blaz had to go to the toilet during that time. Maybe he didn't hear what Malkin told him to do. You can see everyone else were happy enough just to sit, play the util.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
BDS, they've still done very well on their attacking half, but if they could get a 4-2, I think they might be sort of driving us towards a 3rd map quickly. Mirror window, the chance of tricking. Could be that main call. Oh, okay. Trick Blade and Doki. It's the sufferer. And think about this position. Everything we talked about last time was Doki inside rafters that drove them in, and here, first body gone, suddenly they've got a direct route through, on towards the wall, on towards the pressure, and G2. This is entirely slipped through their fingers. Wall gets popped open, they have full rafters control demo. This is exceptionally quick.
Yeah. Just picking up the pace. I think BDS, I think the call has been right. You know what? We need to go a lot faster here, and we need to take the fight to G2. And again, for G2, lose that opening pick without anything in response. In terms of what they're going to try and go for, I assume it's going to be the bedroom take once more, because just look at their lineup. It's not as though they have anything to really deal with the garage. So, yeah, bedroom and Logi is what they're currently working on. You've got some players coming in from that side. I'm actually going to go for the wall being opened up right now, and I again, are they really going to risk trying to go for the default whenever you know you're up against a smoke? I mean, I suppose with the time, it makes sense though, no? Like, if you've got garage control, and typically if you're coming from garage, it's all about the plant denial. That's usually the issue. It's just how safe players can sit over towards red and throw their util and stop that plant going down. But because they've been able to take garage so quickly, you're now in a position where you could just burn through that utility with such ease. Lazmau takes a lot of damage, but gets a kill in return, and look who they've been able to take out. It's the smoke. The util is now gone.
There goes one more for the trouble. Freck tears his way across and stomping a back line with a single impact to his name and no impact on the rest of the round. 4-2. Attack half here for BDS, and it's almost as if we've had a bit of a prison break from G2 throughout this day. And you keep getting glimpses of the problems with the light. It keeps being shown, and then they just slip away. Then they just stay in the darkness. But here, BDS have fully turned the light on and brilliantly sort of shown, no, these are the flaws, and this is, we've got you. And again, you have high expectations for G2, as we always do, but so well played today by BDS.
Yeah. I think G2 just the energy levels dipped. That's one thing I've noticed just on the player cams. Just don't see the same happy-go-lucky guys that we're used to seeing. Obviously, I think for G2 that last round, yes, you lose that early control, but I like the fact that BDS were attempting to take everything. Even though they've gotten garage very early on, and again, generically, the last time we were here, we seen them try and go for the kind of construction take. And for G2, the fact that there's still pressure coming in from the construction side, it would make you believe that, hey, they're still maybe trying to go construction here, but it's just BDS are giving themselves as many options as they can. And it just puts the pressure on G2 where you've got that split pressure, and G2 are just between themselves. They don't know what to hold. Do we hold in towards bedroom construction? Do we focus on garage? That's the tough thing for G2, is that they just didn't really know where BDS were going to go, and that's because BDS gave themselves as many options as possible.
Now, can G2 rally? Can they re-find the spark of their sort of clutches out earlier on? Currently, you've only really got Stompin sitting positive across the board, and those players that, we complimented earlier on today, Doki's brilliance across throwing himself out, and Blaz doing continual Blaz things, just hasn't operated it on towards their defense. So instead, they've got to try and make it land. In the meantime, you talk about how teams are working on a sort of balanced level. It's not the biggest sort of shakeaway for the side of BDS. It's not that their kills are much higher, but their deaths are definitely lower. And that's the split in terms of their team game, making sure that they're always taking these things as team-driven objectives. This is the stickier problem, though. There's almost more pressure on towards Freck to start doing Freck things. We've commented on it a couple of times. His extension, the way he gets himself around a map, is what really pulls it out of players. And they cut themselves halfway through the core of the map itself, and they're going to start trying to roll some boogie drowns down the long main corridor. It's P4. But pulls himself away and is chased. Freck takes a bit of damage as well, just holding on towards top blue. They all get back to the site.
Yeah. DDS, I kind of attempted a bit of a loose hold, nothing too in-depth. Now with all them being back on site, we will see what G2's really made of. Yeah, this is a full 2-minute round to set up, prepare, your execute. You've got everyone alive. You've got all your util. Realistically, this should be a walk in the park for a team as pristine as G2. Yeah? This mighty G2 team everyone loves. If they can't even attack this, then we worry. We do. You look what they've got. They've got the util dump. They've got the Ying. You've got the Brim. You've got areas that open up the hatches. You've got nades. Everything that you need. Triple wall looks to be their option, but we need to get Blaz down over towards bottom main stairs before they even think about going for that. That was the issue that BDS had, was they could not clear away this mirror window. If you look at G2, they've got the 10 Habana pellets. They've got options now. They can remove that mirror window. Disable Virtue from playing as aggressive as what he wants to be right now, trying to deny access to that main stairs.
So the pressure on towards the swing on Moto. They know there's going to be a shotgun on the other side of the door that acts like a stop. When they hit it, they got to hit it with coverage on towards blue as well. Zoki drops down. Oh, actually, seemed like he would for a second, but it's the roll of the blind that goes across, and there's the pressure. They knew pressure was going to hit Bluz. They actually stepped out to see if they could get a lucky kill on towards Moto first. There's the blind on this side instead. It's sort of part of the drop, and there's the off to the races, sprayed through. P4 somehow survives. As Freck's able to swing onto one. There's a couple that go back and forth, but Freck keeps locking it in. The shotgun can't quite get on the rotate. It's Freck. Still in the core, a 1 versus 1. Loira versus Robbie with 20 seconds at this point. He slips his way through. Does he opt for the engagement? They're getting themselves into this position. He's got 12 seconds, which means one opportunity to come off the plant and go for a swing, really, truthfully. Loira, oh, he's gonna stick it as he made the right choice. No.
Oh, Robbie. Big old 1v1. So the irony is, Doki was able to kill the player beside the drinks cabinet with his shotgun, but because he used the shotgun, he actually had blown away the cover that you would want to have, planting right beside the little wooden cabinet. So you see this right here. Shotguns the player, but removes the wood paneling. Therefore, Loira cannot plant there, because then there would be an angle that you can see from Armory onto him, which meant he had to plant in the box. Now, the differences between the two positions is that if you plant on the box where Loira did, someone can walk from blue and just wide swing all the way around the edge of the room beside the jukebox and see you clear as day. You can't do anything against that. Whereas with the cabinet, you can't kind of walk all the way around the room. Yeah, just with the layout. You have to walk towards the player, which gives you a more favorable gunfight.
Well, now with this step in a right direction,
10 seconds remaining.
will this be BDS? Again, just sort of hurling themselves further and
5
further
seconds
forward.
left.
G2 further and further adrift. The perfect step in towards the new half as well.
Objective is to locate a bomb
And it just
and
sort of
defuse it.
shows how they keep setting themselves up. Freck, again. The form he's had, I'm sure there's some graphic or some manner of graphic our desk is thinking about a Freck in best of threes versus the Freck in the league. They already had a bit of a comparison of just him earlier today, but across it, he's felt like talk about him, there he is. He's felt like the player he was in stage 1. He's hurt, turns his back and goes for the sprint away and gets out of there as well. That's at least Robbie back,
Well,
but
yeah, missed opportunity, but still, at least a kill. And a good pick as well, don't forget the Azami. And there would have been probably, what, at least 2 keeper barriers still to recharge. Stomping, just straight up wall by Freck. And now G2 firmly back in control. And already, with 2 kills and still 2 minutes remaining on this top floor, this should be simple for G2. Just all you have to do is sweep across, play your trade game. You've still got the util coming in from Stomping. Got all 5 Bs still up. You've got nades, got flashbang, jet. Should be fine. But I did say that last time, so we'll hold our breath at the moment for G2.
Ice ready.
low control of top red. I talked about how it was at points late for BDS to get this much before. They had a lot of focus that was taken out, and they still managed to make it stick at some moments. And here, G2 been able to get it a little bit quicker, but you think about the positions that still need to pressure, and well, they're still positioning them. Stomping. Said P4 often finds himself in these odd positions, and there is another one that he is punished for. Leaves us in a 4 versus 2. It was actually common ground the other way around in the first half, and at this point, with the reveal of what's open and where they're going, drop the drone and pull themselves off towards Logi. It's a nice little move, but he's about to find a friend above the hatchet itself. That's the worry. He hears them coming out. The bees land as well, and will he get caught? No, they don't spray on the back of it. They don't catch anything on the C4 either, and he's got a bit less to work with. Lasmo does get one, but he's under intense pressure right now, and he needs Virtue to offer some support. Virtue, he's able to drift himself around. There's the hop in. There's double for Blaz. Said we didn't quite have them before, but oh, we're definitely getting him now.
Yeah, better pacing there from G2. I think using the extra man, just ran through the playbook. Pretty standard stuff. Really just the same kind of issues that I believe G2 had whenever they were defending up there. It's if you lose those initial first engagements and you're dealing with the gym and bedroom. I wouldn't say either side has been great at defending cash, I don't think I've ever seen Cash go for free real estate as what both these teams have kind of gifted over to each other. There really is not the kind of same battle. You think about whenever VP would play Clubhouse. Think of Pasha on the Clash sitting top red with about three ADSs. I'm not seeing that same level. You know, both teams are more than happy to kind of let that go if they need to. But then that's such a big issue because you're giving so much time away for teams to execute onto gym and bedroom. And the main issues with that bomb site is how claustrophobic it gets. Whenever those windows are going to be opened up and there's an extra man playing on said windows, there ain't a lot of safe positions that you can sit, and then you combo that with utility dump operators like your Ying and your Brim. It's a nightmare to defend. So really, a lot of the time we see that the gym and bedroom is all about how well you can deal with the extension, how well you can pick off the attackers in those opening stages. 5-man turtle on that bomb site, even a 4-man, it's not fun to play. Not.
Changing mags.
At this point, with a divide of 2, BDS, they want to try and get this one pushed over towards map point as quickly as possible. Make sure they can sort of put the pressure on towards G2, because suddenly when they get within touching distance, you know what this team is capable of. And you want to make sure they stay uncomfortable, feel uncomfortable throughout all of this. As you said, taking some of these portions on the top floor especially is just, well, holding onto them has been the problem, actually.
Look out, it's live!
But as they try and get themselves on towards the taking CC, just preparing, watching, waiting. Blaz has the range, and now the pressure can come across. They're very quick, very elaborate in what they want to do, and that is no pressure on towards rafters for now. The take is entirely coming out on towards this site, and not entirely sure what happened. Yeah, impacted the C4. That's rotten teamwork timing there, unfortunately.
It is unlucky, but for G2, very fortunate. Got the wall open, which is the main thing at the moment. Loira. Wait to see if he needs to make it a little bit bigger, but he should be fine to get through that. No issues that I can see. For G2, all the pressure coming in from construction now. The main thing that we always look at whenever teams are going for the construction take, Emmy, in towards Cash, you need to apply pressure on red stairs. And that is usually done by sending the player downstairs into lounge and going up that staircase.
They know somebody's coming, but if they lose somebody on the front, well, they've got to try and opt for this kill at the right time. It's just drawn Stompen's focus out. Now, Freck's playing this well. He's keeping himself just a little bit further away. He's got an ump. And that, I mean, it's not the strongest gun. It's definitely stronger than that at that range. There's another one for Robbie as well. They're still concerned. Great motion here by Freck. He's got himself into Logi, and he can just apply this pressure. He can get caught out at this point. He's already done more than enough in that he's drawn the players out and away from it. It allows a little bit of a swing back, but as the fight is so scrappy, Loira, he's beating himself up to not get that kill, but he does get somebody else instead because he just screams in on towards the breach. Robbie gets himself a third for the round, and unfortunately Alamau cannot quite get the catch he would want. The grenades forces the motion elsewhere. A 1 versus 1, but Robbie! You said you wanted more hero plays from BDS. How about a 4K?
Wow. Oh, Robbie, again! He's been the 1v1 king. Wow. So close. G2 just can't get it over the finish line. BDS, Robbie. It's been that guy. Wow. 6-3. BDS. A massive gap now is formed.
Club and G2. It's not quite a partnership or a match made in heaven. They might have been able to get a couple of wins on it recently, but I think, as I said before, this is the light being shined on the floors by BDS. Yeah, it's coming down to these moments. Fine, it's 2 1 versus 1 sort of clutches, but you can see the frustration on the side of G2. You can see that they're struggling with the sort of reasoning on why this isn't quite going in their way. And now, back down towards the basement. One of the things about this game and how it's played out, G2 have had 1 opening kill, and it was on the very first round. Since then, every single other opening kill has gone into the favor of BDS.
Big stats. Big stats. I think for BDS, I don't really think they care about the stats as long as they're winning the rounds.
I think they'll be. I mean, I think the entry game is sort of leading in towards how this is going, right? It's G2 have never been able to operate in a way at full strength. Yes, obviously some of them will get traded. Yes, obviously we have a 6-3 scoreline. That means that 3 of the times, or 2 of the times, it's gone into their favor. But I mean, that one they get, and they do it by just sending it in, but it's very quickly traded back out by Freck, who gets rid of Stompin. No Ash. So now those mirror windows you're thinking about, okay, well, you've got to keep some of that in Hibana, because otherwise you can't quite get rid of them. They're just going to try and use the blitz, I guess, to shepherd fights, fine, but then where do you put the blitz on the execute here, Demo?
I mean, typically whenever we see the shield be utilized, it is typically in towards construction. But really, is a dirt tunnel take gonna be an option for G2? Probably not. Just don't think they have the util dump necessary to kind of go for that play. Could just be a straight kitchen drop, and I think it might be Alamar with a shield. Just put it on his back and just go for the plant.
There's the plan. He's in, he's off, and he's going to go for the plant itself. Is there a C4 to catch it? Yes. And then there's also a fight that goes across either side. Quick reaction by BDS, but now it's 2 versus 2. G2 going to try and get the gun skill to run it through to the end, but it's only Loira left. No, it isn't. It's a BDS second map in the series, which means that we fall to a best of 1 here, Demo. BDS have fought back.
Series. G2, the last map. Just a lack of energy in my eyes. I think the team needs to get themselves up for this. Is it maybe a case of G2 where they think, you know what? Job's done today. Don't really care what happens. No. For G2, go in there and keep moving up the rankings, yeah? They finished first last stage. But why not go for a back-to-back? Where's the ambition?
I mean, you know, ambition is a virtue, and well, he's on the other team, so
BDS have a virtue.
yeah, it's throwing ourselves in. Master office, R6 room, starting here on this map. I'm kind of distracted by the old chat, I'll be honest. I was half listening to the things you were saying because
I mean, I'm used to it.
No, I know. In game, I'm all yours.
That's fine. No one listens to little old me. Just look at me, just stuck here out in the cold.
You're in the cold. Why is your computer outside? Get inside. That's not. I didn't ask you to do that.
Just as usual, everyone's inside having a Christmas party, and I'm out in the snow.
Being visited by 3 ghosts. Telling you.
That didn't say I was rich, because I'd be okay if I was rich, but I'm not.
The worry is if we start doing that, Mariah Carey's gonna unthaw and come for us. So we must.
Michael Bublé.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how he, you know, Mariah Carey lives up to her love of Christmas. Michael Bublé seems like he's been cursed to be a great Christmas singer, and he loathes the curse. Anyway, enough about Christmas music. Let's see if it's sweet chin music as Robbie tries to scream his way immediately across and underneath the site. He's going to see if he can try and kick upwards at anybody that's inside itself. You've got the Deimos, you've got the chance of tracking anyone on all this soft, and there's the reveal that he's underneath here. So he's about to maybe find a fight as it's Loira who wants to creep their way a bit closer, making sure he's not on an active drone, but the drone is about to roll its way towards him, and the Solus, he's going to get caught out. What will he do with the 2 pocket proxies? Probably not a lot, but he's going to bide his time on this approach.
Always tense. That first mid-floor battle. Get the spot onto the Solus. They spotted him enough to get the track. That's the question that I would like to know. But oh, the P90. Not favorable against the Deimos. Loira goes down. Good first engagement. Won by Robbie, who really today is just the 1v1 guy, which is weird considering that Stompin is in this lobby.
I mean, we're setting up the next challenge, right? There's Doki leaning out and getting back last mode. Now, they've now lost one of their hard breaches, but they always seem to double stack. And Virtue is there as well, but look, P4! How many times does he make a play like this? It doesn't always connect in the same way, but there's 2 quick kills and there's a quicker round. I mean, what a strike.
It's P4, just P4 things. I mean, he is the backstabber. He is the faceless assassin who takes on many forms.
I do love it. I mean, it's the sort of thing about P4 as a player that's well known is that he takes risks. And he does it in such a sort of cavalier way. He'll throw himself in, he'll charge, and there's a period of time where it would generically go more wrong than right. But now he's finding a form. It's just terrifying because if it does go wrong, it doesn't shake him. He's like, I'll get him with my next backstab. I'm going in, you know? And that mindset, it's the mindset of a killer, Bella.
Reinforcing wall.
Great start for G2, and certainly a map like Lair. It's a map that both teams, of course, have played this stage. I think both teams are fairly confident. I mean, I always said I really like the way that G2 attacked this map, and hopefully we will be able to see quite a bit of that if we get onto their side. Or should I say when we get onto their side. Whereas, I think for a team like BDS, you know, I think Jack kind of summed up very well. You know, map like Lair, you are kind of still playing that kind of slow and methodical playstyle. But you also do have the kind of added blended factors that maybe Beck might have, you know, with the quick kind of aggressive positions that you can take, because the map is just so gigantic. I believe the last time that BDS actually played Lair, it was a win up against, or sorry, a loss against Falcons. Before that, they had a win against Gen G. So again, a bit of a hit or miss record, but still not bad for BDS in terms of map scores just in general.
Well, there's I said it's all or nothing. And P4 this round, nothing. Gets caught up early on there. Not sure where he was trying to fully get himself situated. Blaz disagrees. Now they've got to operate for 2 minutes without P4 or any of his gadgetry. And also as C4 removes Lasmo as well. This round has instantly bounced back. What a different turn of face. The spin. Doki and Robbie get big chunks out of each other. They're sort of just saying, look, come on, swing, swing. We know you're coming at this point. Ooh, Robbie does get at least one. They're trying to get the pinch on this player between them, but are they going to try and fight their way out via Robbie? It does seem that way. Slips their way across. Lucky timing for the defender to not be caught by Robbie's position. And I say that, he's just going to step in anyway. He does get the kill, but gets caught out. Stomping. There's a 1 versus 1. I don't know how you strike that up, but as Loira picks up the pieces, it does at least count as the trade. And that leaves the 1 versus 3 here. A minute left. Freck has a lot of time and a couple of sets of Bs. But I was about to say, there's always the chance that these C4s being the end of him. It's just down to see if he can find an opportunity to strike his way through G2.
I mean, they really do, though. Don't even have the kit either. G2, just sit in their hands, play their angles. Know exactly where he is. See all 3 of them, guns lined up, straight into that position. Knows where Loira is. Is he aware that Doki is also to his left? Now he will know. There's too many angles. I mean, 3 different angles the guys to fight against, and it's just never going to happen for him. Yeah, G2 win that. Yeah, G2 just a really good trade game. You know, going upstairs, that's where a lot of the heavy fighting was done, as expected in this bomb site. And they just trade it really well. You can see that the initial attempt of trying to clear upstairs just did not work for BDS. And I think whenever you look at that bomb site, if you take out those key operators that you need to have for the util dump, that bomb site is just it's mad to try and attack it if you don't have the util to back it up. And yeah, if you lose that util, yeah, you can't really go anywhere with that. So yeah, BDS just faltering on their top 4 clear. But again, good stuff from G2 though, making sure that they have that man advantage.
Well, that's a step back in the right direction. Blow for now, and G2, they played themselves pretty strong in the start. They're going to opt to go back towards the top and make sure that they can try and get this one as strong as it was before. Obviously, this is the site that, you know, is the most common play. It sets itself in. I'm wondering why they're just trying to avoid the basement, but they're usually a team that is happy to stretch onto multiple different sites. In fact, they're often a team that sometimes picks the site that nobody else ever wants to go. Sometimes just as a show of strength of being like, oh, you can't play this site? We can. Not that it always comes out as a win, but the intent is still there. Here, though, back towards Master Office, redo what they couldn't do the first time round and sort of say, okay, look, you may have had this once, but, you know, we can get it the second time. We can win out the rest of these, and if we end up coming here again, well, you'll probably lose again. BDS, it does give them another opportunity. And remember how this sort of started with a scrappy fight underneath that couldn't quite go into a Solace's way? There is no Solace this time around. Instead, oh, it's a fretless round. The punch, the pressure on the mirror window, and a Maverick that can't quite get themselves on the wall.
Yeah, losing out on Frack is not going to be helpful. Not only do you lose the Grim, but just Frack as a player. We know what he brings to this roster. Lose him, not great.
Activating Selma.
For BDS,
Swapping bags.
I mean, they're obviously trying to play that kind of, I won't say just basic style of siege that we have come to kind of expect on a map like Lair, but I think G2 just seem a lot more locked in, almost. They're not letting the same kind of things happen to them. Rut sitting back and allowing BDS, you know, they'll take the aggro to them this time. Just a little bit more high energy, which is what I asked off G2 that they need to try and bring. But really, they've got every avenue covered. Like, this is quite good as well if you look at G2. They're bringing plenty of stuff just to stop these crouch box. They've got traps, they've got barbed wire. They're not allowing BDS just to slip into the bomb site as what they did previously.
Couple of tears of heads off either side, and well, they've been able to at least get one of the players out as Doki's removed and keep the pressure on towards the site. But think about how far out they are. P4 is still running some drones in, trying to get some control, and maybe has one more Flores drone to make it work, but his Lawyer is fighting Virtue on the other side, and it's a 1 versus 1 here. They have to find a way to close down on a single player, but Alamau and Stompin win out those engagements, and now P4 can only be described as late to the party. Stompin, sick of Alamau, kills him, and that's why that's happened, not an accident. And that leaves us in the 1 versus 3. P4, last time he opened up here by crouching in towards the site. This time, as we saw in the previous round, I mean, look at the positions G2 are in. They're keeping their meter close to their chest. As soon as he enters through the door, it's a play on contact. They hear the rip of the flash, and I mean, they're just perfectly reactive to each other, Demo.
Yeah, again, G2 just closing it out. No real opportunity to give BDS any chance at a clutch. But yeah, again, for G2, they've adapted. Not allowing those quick little micro plays that BDS had went for previously. They brought in the traps, brought in that bit of barbed wire, slows down that approach from BDS, and almost felt as though like they lost Freck, and they kind of looked like a little bit lost. Like they didn't really know where they wanted to go at that point. And people started trying to make a play, and it's backfired as things go from bad to worse. So yeah, a little bit of a worry here for BDS. I definitely think they need to try and get this next round, or else they may be opening themselves up just to kind of get, I want to say steamrolled, just based on momentum, because we know what G2 are like.
We do, but I think it's fair to sort of say that BDS on their defense today have been brilliant across both sort of maps. I think this is a map where you're looking at a 4-2 defensive half, you're looking at that sort of control still into your favor, and you know, it's sort of backed up as well. I think across the board, it's not the most defensive-sided map, but it is the most played in EML. And it sits, I think, within the top 3, definitely. So it's that sort of idea of they're just getting enough work done, they're getting themselves driven enough. BDS, they want to get themselves 2 attacks that they opened up with 1. And since it's been 2 rounds in a row, slows them down a lot. Which I think you're sort of commenting on there as well, and you're seeing that G2 are sort of stealing the pace back in towards their favor. And BDS have thrived on that quick application of themselves in towards the map, but there's always still time in this. As they drop their way down towards the basement site to see if they can try and pull this apart. No go for that Twitch drone, but yes go for Freck shooting Blaz in the head. There goes your Vigil. Trying to get a peek out of the doorway, gives a camera and control of it all away, and Oh, it's just kind of wasteful for the Vigil.
Yeah, Blaz goes down very early on without having any real impact. Again for G2, forcing them really have to try and get that kill back, and Stomp is trying his best to do so, but pivots off, use that Kiba to give him a little bit of mobile cover. He's really up against it at the moment. Let's see if he can maybe try and fall back to his teammates, and Alamaus came over to try and give said support on that clash. BDS don't really have anything to go against the clash, so this is the main thing though, but Brett just slips in, look at that. Takes down Stompin', and yeah, 3v5. Very quickly, G2, where are they going to go from here?
That's it, Alamau, he's going to get himself back towards the site. Freck didn't want to overextend his welcome, but they know somebody's above. They're spraying through it, and Freck takes a lot more damage than Doki did. But still, the fact that they have the 5 versus 3, the fact that they know Doki's loose, and they have a minute 20, they have so much time to try and close this down and make it a 5 versus 2 or a 4 versus 2 and play on the trade down on the site itself. Instead, they're going to push and punch the site. It's a game that they've done many, many times. When they know that they have an advantage on it, well, why not throw ourselves in? They won't expect it as much. They're trying to buy as much time as possible. Loira checked and double checked, and now, well, I was going to say it's just one left, but it isn't. Strong return to form there for BDS, and is that what you kind of wanted, Demo?
Of course it is. Yeah, I think whenever you look at that basement, G2, they're not going to turtle. We learned that from the IGL Summit whenever they were talking about, okay, what kind of style of Siege, and, you know, Efak goes turtle, and they go, well, you can do that because you've got Shaiko. We have to roam. So, again, you have to roam. And I think for G2, obviously that no impact at all from Vigil doesn't help. And it just leaves Stompin' in such a difficult situation where, yes, you know, Alamau came, but what... There's only so much that Clash can do. Yeah, has the shield. Shield doesn't have, you know, guns equipped to it. You can't walk around, just press, you know, just sit there and have guns firing out of the shield. So it is still, at that time, only Stompin' who can play with a gun. And if he misses an opportunity, which he did, Freck slips in, picks up the kill, it's done. And you go 3v5 in that bomb site with having very little influence on the BDS attackers. It's over. And that's exactly what happened. BDS have that 2-man advantage. They just work the basics. They work what they need to do. They get themselves set up in positions for that kind of horizontal push across. Coming in from Garage. Yeah. Simple stuff. And I think, Lair, we've seen it before on these attacks. If you do the basic stuff right, it makes these attacks look great. It makes the map look so easy to play.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of spread of it, right? It's why, I guess, when you have a new map come into the pool, there's always the questions of how's this going to play? I have fan favorites, yada, yada, yada. And people had questions about this map when it first sort of came in. You had the back of Labs that was really good, and we'll get to the follow through here. Does Robbie know? No, is the answer. A Stompin' pops up, puts him down, and heads on out of there. A failure to launch for a Nook. And they can just get themselves back towards the verticality. Anyway, as I was saying, we had a bit of a slow adoption of this map, I think. And over the past sort of split, especially in EML, seeing how teams have driven creative attacks has really brought it to the forefront. Scrappy fights underneath, and Freck's just going to get out of there because they cannot afford to lose. And if it goes into a 5 versus 3 on your pressure on the top floor, pressure in the basement, the round is done.
Moving now into this mid-floor, and same struggles I feel for BDS. It's... You're put in a situation where we know you're going to have to try and go above. Yeah, G2 will hold upstairs, they make the vertical angles. You have to try and clear those roamers. Already, you lose that first pick. You're at that man deficit. You lost nades as well, which would have been great for picking off little bits of the util. You think about the Nari trips. Obviously, the Renegates are going to need to get burned by something. They get the kill back, but still, a minute 10. I don't think they have enough time to try and clear above now. Because if they do, I think they're leaving themselves really sparse of time and actually going to go for the execute. So this is now a big decision that BDS need to make. And I'm looking at the lineup, and all they have is the Capitão. If those Capitão bolts are not going to hit it smart, they've got nothing in terms of util.
It's also the split of they don't have anything to have opened the wall as well, but they do have Virtue. Oh, swings his way around. gets the double across the top, and this is that split, right? I was about to make the point that they don't have anything to open the back wall, so even if they try and snuck themselves in, well, this position that Doki's in is a powerful one, but at this point as well, even if they're not outside that site, they can just try and, Capital bolt themselves in, drop the hatch and go for the fight at the same second, 20 seconds, and it's got to go sharpest. They're trying to find where the two players are. The Kiva's going to slow them down. All plays against the utility, sprays through, another Kiva. There needs to be a punch from the side, and there it is, round the back, Freck. Leaves just Blaz alone, blinded, sprayed and caught, and BDS operate brilliantly on the back of Virtue.
BDS were looking to go upstairs. Yeah, they actually wanted to push that. What I don't understand, why have the two G2 players pushed into them? They double swung on the hallway. You look where Virtue is in this scenario. Hopefully we'll get the replay on it. This right here. Why are they pushing into him? They have cleared top floor without really going into top floor.
Well, I said it before, ambition is a virtue, so is patience. And they opted to not bring any and found him instead. 3-2, BDS at this point, in some books, have done more than enough on their attack. Got themselves the even guarantee. G2, it's still very scrappy between these two teams at points. But when you have, obviously, Freck still operating the way he is and has been today, when you're having moments like that, again, you sort of called for those clutch potential moments, right? And we said that was the thing missing from BDS's performance earlier. Now we're getting it, and in some manners it's been taken, and in some manners, like it was there with the double swing onto Virtue, it's being helped along a bit by G2's decision making. Now they've got to operate with the hope of getting an even tie on their lair defense.
Yeah, not great for G2, but I did mention before, their attacks are good. I will say that about G2. They understand the fundamentals of how you can approach a lot of these bomb sites, especially that mid floor. I always love seeing how they operate on that bomb site. BDS, definitely a change of pace in terms of the operator selection. I mean, this just kind of leads you in to think, okay, it's going to be a little bit sneaky with the Blaz being picked in there, but also you've got that explosive nature of comboing that with your Ying. So I think it does open the door for quite a lot of possibilities. Main worry, once again, how do they deal with the clash? I think this has been something that G2 has brought. I wouldn't say that BDS has ever really brought a hard counter to the clash, but I wouldn't say the clash has had like any influence tonight. Like really, no. G2 have not played the operator well.
No, I said it before as well. It seemingly whoever picks up the mantle of the clash is cursed at this point. There's a swing out, a very ambitious Loira is almost punished, but did they actually get off what they wanted to do? Yeah, they did.
Yep.
Okay, now they only have, well, 2 exothermics in the pocket of Lasmo, but they're gonna have to rotate him around.
Oh, that's crazy tough.
Drone up and running.
And they're gonna have to go somewhere else. I don't think they can go for that traditional plan.
I mean, not without a lot of work already done. So instead, it seems like they're gonna propose themselves top green, pressure on the opposite side. We start to get the call in from the window itself. P4, though, he's just being smoked out, I think. And, oh, yeah, fire instead. He still drives behind it. And this is the decision-making we talked about of him as a player. He's fearless. Sometimes it's a benefit, sometimes it's a boon. But here, as it opens the door, removes the smoke. 50 seconds, there's the cross. They're just sending it, Demo. All the way in, BDS. Once again. Scream and charge their way across the top. Blaz blinked and all of his team was dead. Does get one. I mean, you know, P4 and Lasmo massively hurt, but at this point they can watch it from a bit of range. They've planted on the default and Robbie cuts him in half anyway. 4-2, attack in half.
Wow. Really good stuff again for BDS. Don't know how they've done it, honestly. With that breach not being opened up, cannot get a Thermite into that position in towards top mess. Not going to happen. So their options are very limited. You have to give credit to the Blaz. That made the round, took so much damage from smoke or the flames. Don't know what it was exactly, but whatever it was doing tick damage to him. And he just kept pushing. And as long as he's on 1 HP, he's still a threat. Gets the opening pick. Disruption then just flies through the ranks of G2. And they can't stabilize. I'm going to have to come back to that clash again. Where is the value coming from that operator? Like, really? What has that clash been able to do? On the series, not just this map, by the way. Not making an isolated thing here. And I'm not just going after something because they so happen to play that. We've seen Blaz on it, for example, as well. The whole series, the clash just has not done anything.
Oh, we've seen, I think the only person who we've not seen play Clash is... I'm trying to think, in map 1, I'm just having a quick look through. Yeah, Lawyer, the only person who hasn't played Clash today for G2 is Doki. And I think they've maybe lost pretty much every single, or at least everyone has had a loss on it. But even then, in the times it's won, it's never been that most effective sort of position. It's never been that difference maker or decider.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
I'm reloading.
Either way. Can't all pin it on one thing. What we got to pin it now on is the second swing round. G2 not allowed to operate with 2 of the choices of shield. I mean, maybe at this point, with how their luck has gone with the clash, I don't think it's... You could probably leave them with shields and just see if the curse carries on either side. BDS back where they've been happiest on their defense here. I said, you know, 2 rounds, they might have been happy with it. They must be over the blimmin' moon, demo. Quick break. On towards the site wall. They can get their eyes towards Mask and the chance at a plant. Just get some of this prep work done here, G2, and then start prodding and probing on towards Ops.
I'm reloading.
They've got the Keybers and his army setting up partially aggressively. It's just a burn utility, burn a bit of time. Oh, I do like the little Elamine behind it as well.
It pays off, though. Lamar. Into Ops he goes. He knows what he's after. The drone work. Did for himself. Was good. So that... I was maybe thinking about falling off. No, I mean, for Nazami, it's all about playing your life here, isn't it? And slowly taking a back step. It's allowed E2 to get themselves in, and they can look to open up at least the first wall. And move, of course, in towards Mez. For BDS, denial there with that smoke. But no ranged hard breach for G2, so they may have similar issues that BDS had whenever it comes to that main wall that leads into the bomb site. You know, trying to thermite that or put a hard breach gadget on it, it's going to be very difficult, but I will say that they've got like a Captal, for example, which will make things a lot easier. Just fire off, stop them from pushing around so you safely can. Go for the wall being opened up. Actually, just going to do it dry. Mostly because nobody's in a position to really challenge onto it. Laura's got himself in the bathroom to stop that cross, so... Yeah, stopping to get the wall opened up. So, I mean, immediately for BDS, they know where they're going to plant. You know what's coming. That wall being opened up, it signifies, okay, it's going to be a default plant. How do they work around this?
And can they? As the pressure starts to surround them, it's the fire that pushes them to the end. There's another kill picked up by Blaz as well. It's 1 on Loira with a cap can. But at this point, Freck against the world, really. BDS, they just got isolated. G2 were able to cut the angles. The opening kill, not entirely sure how that came together from the windows, but then they had bathroom. Then Doki had the confidence to push up the main stairs, gets that locked in, gets that cross. Okay, now we can get the plant. Now we can just focus in. Think about what they took in totality was not a huge amount, right? They didn't really have anyone putting pressure on the back of site from green. They didn't really have anything else, but what they had it very firmly, and it allowed them to build in.
They went and they took what they needed. And really, for that team, it's okay. Let's get bathroom. Then that means we can up the wall. You look at the operators that they had on board. You've got the Grim. You've got the Capitao. Grim, as we know, is perfect whenever it comes to the art room. You just Grim out everything, jump in the window, take your picks.
Bomb located
Blaz
by
did that.
attackers.
Capitao, able to clear out the player in behind the desk. Oh, he was that player as a smoke. Oh, now we can plant. Just everything went their way, and BDS just didn't really react to it. Like I said, it was obvious the way that G2 were going to go about that attack, but BDS just kind of let it happen almost. You know, the
5
smoke.
seconds left.
Like, what was he hoping for? That the fire was going to miss?
Razor wire
He needs to get... I think the smoke needed to throw his util. I know it may sound crazy. A lot earlier to get himself out of that position. He should know that he's going to be dead if he stays behind that table. Use the smokes early to get yourself out. So then at least you can still stay in the round.
It's also the sort of element, right? When they're in that position, they have so much control. Yeah, okay, you might be able to stop them planting on the default if you time those smokes right with a minute left. Fine. But they know you're there. You are 100% there. There's Kibas behind it, and it is the position to be in to deny this. So you can try and push them down so they have maybe instead of no time, they have 15 seconds left if you deploy them a bit earlier. But if that buys you a chance at an escape, it buys you a chance at stressing them out anyway.
Yeah. It's the longer the round goes on, the more mistakes it could happen. Because everyone knows if you're under the pressure of a clock, everyone's human. Everyone makes mistakes because of that.
Drone is ready to go.
Now at this point, G2, they've been able to get this round back, put themselves a little bit closer towards the fight. If they can tie themselves up and level it after their first 2 attacks, everything sort of said about how good they are on attacking this map will start to come together. They've opted to try and double down on this in terms of the site itself and in terms of the adaptation of the hold as well. Not really a huge amount of change apart from this. The slowdown on the swings. You've got the Fenrir that's going to try and make things a bit trickier.
Ready to go.
And then obviously that's it, really. Over the cap can.
Yeah.
Will that really be the main change?
It's a little bit more aggro, isn't it? You know, you can see that they wanted to hold ops a little bit longer that time, but still, it seems to be kind of brewing up the same outcome. You know, where they're in where they want to be in towards ops. They can now rotate their util dumpers. Again, you have that Grim more towards ops. Robbie's been able to get Doki, though, so they have got the first pick. And look who they've been able to get, though. It is the Capitao. So clearing out Freck in behind that table, you need to get something else rotated. And the only thing that they would really have is probably the nade from Loira.
That's it, though. With that first kill gotten, at least one back, Robbie might have done all that was needed to be done. The Kibas aggressively on the door this time, and the Fenrir to just slow things down. It's earlier pops of the smokes as well. He's entirely out of them at this point. They're not playing that, as we said, the door dive position, and somebody's rotated underneath too. There's somebody that can try and apply some pressure on towards the default plant, and that is the time that has been brought towards them. You assume it's Virtue with the C4, but as Stompin gets P4, we're going to find out. There's the plant being attempted. Alamau moves off, and Stompin gets one more for the trouble. But Loira does go down. 7 seconds. They don't have the kit. They don't have anybody left because Freck swings it round. Freck! Bloody Freck!
Oh, my. Blood is emoting on them.
He always does.
Again.
But the thing is,
wow.
Last time he did that emo, it was against Falcons, and then they started doing it back and won the map. So I think, I think he saved it for the 3rd map this time, so they cannot watch the VOD and know that he's been doing that.
So that round should have been G2's. Nailed on a G2 round. No doubt about it. A tremendous toss into the bin for G2. It more or less played out the same way, did it not? Take in towards ops, open up that breach, get the util dump coming in from the arc side of things, pick up the kills, which they did. And as usual for BDS, their knight in shining armor comes gallivanting in, picks up a quad. Simple as that, they couldn't kill Frack. And it's not so much, I think, the case of strategically, because I suppose you could make the argument, oh, well, if Doki didn't die, they could have had the cap. I get that, and I made that point. But still, in a 2v4, at that stage, you trade your bodies. You just kill the guy, but they couldn't. It's just one guy's killing you as you're trying to rush in.
I think one of the things that we can sort of talk about and not be like, see, we're right, was the stress of time. For me, is what sort of raised that big problem. And that was the delay that, in a way, you know, BDS could have cooked the round before. They had options, they had changes, and a brilliant way for them to grow into it. What a round and what a day for Freck. here, 5 apiece. Once again, setting themselves up, but the 5-3 divide is the one that G2 is being haunted by. And that entry statistic, before things slip away from an even hand on either side, is something that I think we've continued to find eludes them. This confidence keeps kicking in. Only 2 rounds separate BDS from continuing along the lower bracket and preparing themselves for just such a rematch against Falcons. Something they'll probably be happy for, and Freck is trying to drive them there. Caught out, stomping, make sure it doesn't last very long, and wants to keep sending himself for the next fight, but there's only a couple of bullets left. Baited into Loira. He chased for the kill, Robbie did, and unfortunately he met a fate. And now Virtue desperately trying to get around the back of the site, get around the back of the push, takes out 2 drones, they know he's here. Oh, he expects the fight, but he can't win it out. And now a full... Yep.
I mean, I think for G2, it's just a case of keeping that man advantage now, isn't it? Same way that kind of BDS steamroll through this, but a double flank. You never expect the second, do you? You never do. And now that makes things a little bit interesting. I mean, if Blaz can get a pick here, then it's on.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is why you immediately drop the hatch back onto site, because if G2 thought there was only one left on site, they would immediately operate. He cannot sit and hold on to the verticality. He knows that they're just going to charge, and at this point, G2 are having to retake the vertical. You can see the outline has gone above. It's taken time away. But he's so desperate to find a fight. And then you look at things like the Goyo canisters, and you look at the health of Loira and Stompin', and you're thinking, okay, maybe this one isn't impossible. The flash comes out. They have themselves partially covered here. Asmo is still the one that's desperate for the engagement. Just going to keep sending him his way around. 30 seconds, and he pops the fire, but there's the kill, and there's P4 popping another.
That's the kit.
28 seconds. They're trying to double up so they can push. There's a 2 versus 1 on towards contact. They've got to wait at least, and look how far back he's going. The safety and the pre-pep smash on towards. But as the plant is being put together, there's the spray round, and Loira actually went down and came back on towards it. There's another bit of motion here. P4, he's trying to find the opportunity. There's one. Oh, it's ring around the rosies, but he doesn't have much left. It's Stompin' to clutch this one out. P4 almost the hero play of the day.
Oh, I thought it was there for him. I really did. Constant information from that bulletproof. As soon as the Dokkaebi call wore off, you seen just constant red pings to try and stress the players of G2. But Stompin' holds his nerve, wins a massive 1v1 for his side. I mean, G2 almost bottling that round, which is weird considering where they were. They were 4-2 up in that round. But it was a double flank. I mean, this from B4. Never expect the second man. But aggressive. And also was able to take down the player going for the plant. Now here's a big what if. What if he played his life for the kit instead of giving them the opportunity to plant? That would be the what if, isn't it? Because you think about the HP as well. Them having to push into a Scorpion rather than the Scorpion pushing them? Different story.
Well, our story pauses for but a beat as we have a quick tech pause. 5-4, and in the pace of this game has felt like a brilliant back and forth sort of brawl, right? You can sort of say that on club, G2 disappeared a little bit, but the way that these two teams have just been adapting and responding to each other is some of my favorite elements of Siege, is that live round learning, that live active, this is what they're doing, how can we change things up? About staring into the distance.
Is he okay? Somebody check.
So. You know, So, Derry Desertu Holt, the genius that he is with technology, provides a wonderful tool for us.
Well, steady on with Genius Comms being flying around.
Listen,
Steady
I don't
yourself.
want to have to start paying a subscription towards his talent tools because he could. I'm pulling this from hidden data. Of the opening kills that we've seen across all 3 maps, only 2 of them have been successfully traded between these 2 teams. Otherwise, it shows how isolated these both approach. Those sort of fragging players that will just take errant routes.
Sorry to stop. Did he just smell himself and get disgusted with what he smelled?
Did. Listen, he's been competing for like 6 hours today. Imagine if you were competing and sweating in a shirt for 6 hours.
Yep.
How do you feel?
POV, you've had a full 8-hour rank session.
8-hour rank session.
Yeah.
It's like a weird threat. Like, you smell yourself after an 8-hour rank session. You see how you like it.
Oh. Where's this gonna go? Oh, Virtue. That looked like a tired blink. Did you see that? I was like, I need to stay awake. I need to stay awake. I've seen that before.
That's the time.
He's yawning. Oh, they're both tired.
It's a long day. It's a long
Yeah.
day and you're playing at the highest level. You're playing at the level where, you know, fine, they've done their day's task. Both of these teams, the goal of the day from the start of it was to get into the major, was to win that first series. They've both achieved that. And it's not that they now don't go, okay, new goal, let's win, let's beat the others. But
10 seconds to go.
if you were to ask somebody, would you rather give it your all in the first game that gets you to the major or the second game that progresses you along the bracket to then face Falcons? You'd probably go the first game.
Yeah, of course you would. And also, I think for BDS, like a really good opportunity for them to finish 3rd place. And you wouldn't have said that with this team a few weeks ago. You know,
No.
BDS, going into the final play day of group stages, it was out of their hands via 2 teams if they were going to make it. Well, kind of. Well, I suppose BDS were playing Fnatic for a straight shootout. But you think about Wolves. Wolves had an opportunity just to kind of lock them out too. Wait, no, I think no, it was just a straight shootout. It was Magical, sorry, I'm getting that confused. But still, there was an opportunity where they could even made it to playoffs. And for them to push on and get to 3rd place, I mean, that would have been, wow. You wouldn't have said that. You would, that'd be crazy talk.
Now with a little bit of a break in the motion, BDS almost had the chance at a clutch of bringing things even before. No, I say even, bringing themselves up to series point. So both teams have had many clutches that could bring them even or better. It's truly been some hero plays back and forth. Quick play. Round on, that grenade will force them into somebody's firefight with the Fenrir on the catch. It's one and Doki a step behind. Freck was able to get one out of it, and it's the Dokkaebi gone as well.
Not a bad trade. I mean, the Fenrir no longer change around where the traps are going to be on or off. And the Dokkaebi. I mean, it's only Carl at the end of the day, I mean, so it's not too crazy. Stomping should get a hit here. Yeah, there he is. Lasmau just dancing on the table, gives himself up, and G2 can keep it moving. And this is what I talked about whenever it comes to this mid-floor approach. I love the way G2 approach it sometimes. And this is just a full-on top 4 clear, doing a really good job. Got themselves into the position that they need to. BDS, gotta be scared. They're gonna have to try and get out of here. And Virtue almost loses his life. And that should be enough to scare them off. Now we have the vertical pressure that G2 can apply onto the remaining players in bomb site. P4 is gone. And now a 2v4 that Robbie and Virtue have to deal with. But look, they're in the bomb site. They're now the attackers.
Everything is sort of flipped on its head here as the pressure's coming in across.
Reloading!
And now as they're just going to get themselves planted, I mean, Stompin's got it locked down. They're trying to find the fish, and unfortunately none of them are biting. G2 snuck themselves in, crashed it across the top, and now they tie us level.
Yeah, strong from G2. Good take. Clearing in towards that top floor. Good pinching that first guy in towards Mez. And then, yeah, just going through the motions, get the hard breachers in. Stompin finds one. And then from there, you know, 4v3 for G2 to play with. And then it was just, really for BDS, they just had to fall back. You know, just it's slow and steady approach. You know, it's kind of like no man's land, isn't it? Where one side is slowly moving up a couple of yards, build a new trench. Right, here we go again. Up we go, build a new trench. That's the kind of approach that G2 went for.
Oh, the tank timeout from BDS. It's just gonna slow things down for a brief moment. I mean, as you said, it's sort of G2 taking things at a different place, taking time, then pushing, then taking time, giving themselves time to piece it together. Having a quick look as well. Up to this moment in time, today, Freck has netted, I think as I do a very quick bit of maths, 58 kills. And I've asked Fresh to double check how many kills he had before this point, because there's a chance Freck in the maps that he's played today has equaled his entire Stage 2 performance. Or if he hasn't, he's not far off it.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Here's a couple more rounds to try and keep getting himself closer and closer.
10 seconds left.
And we talk about missing elements right now. Unfortunately, Lasmo might be the one that's a little bit far away.
Yeah, and again, I'm a big fan of him. I think a great player who just gets stuck in, very consistent as well, I feel. Mechanically, very sound. But just not having the greatest of layers here for him. I mean, thankfully, neither is Alamo, so it kind of balances it out a little bit. See how G2 want to operate this, because Alamo, speaking of him, he's wanting to the Blaz and see if he can try and sneak his way in and try and get a little bit slippy with that Blaz. But really, it's the Warden that he needs to watch out for. His old teammate Virtue taking up the mantle off that operator. As long as they have a bit of information to kind of feed him through and say, right, well, the person you're not pushing, it's not the Warden, so it should be free. If he ends up in a situation where I'm seeing a Glaz smoke off a Warden, then we know they haven't done their drone work correctly.
It's about to get on.
You can see how tentative they're being. Just deep thought on all the approaches. And yeah, so Fresh has just given me the numbers. Freck got 53 across all the best of ones across the stage, and he's up to 58 just today. If you want a perspective on how his performance has sort of swapped. They're looking for this early engagement, and G2 aren't being offered it. They're having to do a lot of the numbers.
Time to ring some
Try and find at least a closer step and a closer route. It's the longest I think it's been for them to get this ops breach. Now they can focus themselves across. They have eyes on the default plant, but it's also, I think, the longest that we've had all 10 players standing, I say, as Lasmo, unfortunately, becomes that first removal. And, you know, Laura might have been yawning in the cams, but for him, his ability to play when he's tired is still tenfold above a lot of people when they're absolutely on it.
Freck, here's an air job.
Yep.
Oh, firms it. Is anyone gonna hear that, though? That is the question. There's a certain sound range that you have. Maybe. Not sure. Looks as though it's gonna be the case, as he's inside reception, and Doki actually places the camera now. I think maybe he did hear something, and there we go. Shoots the drone. Makes his presence aware. Now for G2, they know it's a 3v5 on site if they want to go that route, and maybe they are. Down goes... We're actually stomping, but there was a down on the Virtue, and another kill comes in, but it's very trade-off by Robbie again. Oh, how he got that with a pistol? Free for him.
Just threw himself in, and Alamo staring through the scope at things moving away. We hear a C4 ripped. It's ready to be loosed. He's pushed himself all the way up, but the timeout, it's worked wonders here. BDS They are one round away from getting themselves along at the lower bracket.
Oh, Robbie. Robbie. What can you say? He's just pulled his team out of it. And he's done that quite frequently as well today. Him and Freck. Really. I mean, I can't even just say those players. I think everyone just stepped up. Like, really, it's a team performance from BDS. Everyone's had such great moments. And it's really showing. It really, really is. From a team who had their, their turmoil inside of stage 1, we come into the stage 2. Things didn't really get better for them outside like 1 week where they dropped 1 round, but then they just suffered loss after loss, and then they just about get themselves into playoffs. We think, okay, let's see what they can do. Definitely the best showing that we've seen here from BDS from the whole year. Like, no doubt about it. This has been BDS at their best. This is showing us what this team can do.
10 seconds left.
Jammer ready.
6-5 BDS.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Eyes on the prize of staring down Falcons
Attackers'
once
objective is
again,
to locate a bomb
of
and
claiming
defuse
a spot as a top 3 EML team, and maybe, if they can keep up this form even further. What a growth they've had throughout the year. As you said, this is the sharpest they've played as a team throughout all of it. G2, they are only 1 round away. They're a team that has been on the brink time and time again and pulled it back together. But missing Doki, missing Alamau as well, who is your sort of lead-in fraggers. It was said before that the players that have stepped up massively for the team of BDS, I mean, they're still stepping up. Freck, Robbie, and P4, as Robbie does get caught by Alamau, have been continual. Unfortunately, G2, their fraggers, their entries, their statistics have just been a little bit more hit and miss. Now they have a first blood. Now they have a second, though. And as I said before, they're a team that's been in positions like this many times, and they've made sure that they can try and opt themselves in for the fight. At this point, BDS, they were close to winning it out on this side from a clutch before. It was a 1 versus 2 with a swing that devolved into a 1 versus 1 post plant. As they crouch themselves across lockers, lock in across the warehouse. How can BDS build against this?
Just a straight horizontal take here for G2. Got the 2 picks that they needed to get. The players now hold in towards warehouse. Really, for BDS, what can they do? I mean, I would expect them to try and get aggressive. That's kind of been the nature that they've liked to play at some points, and certainly for P4, he's ready to see if he can pounce on that opportunity as a player is in towards the mid floor doing a bit of vertical work or breach and charge. It's going to be Loira, but no, it just feels like a matter of time really here for G2 until they get this round overboard. You can see where Stomp is rotated now. Also, this great rotation over towards Blaz, who has been traded out but still got his 1. There's P4 to pick up Stompin', but now they know that the site is completely open to move in and go for this plant. So really good reaction speed for G2 to immediately get onto that basin where their teammates had just died.
Too little, too late for that angle. And maybe too little, too late for the round as well. P4, he put his head back for a second there. I think he knows he's heading to OT. And yes, he is. I remember we saw that angle behind the reception desk the other day and we were like, that's insane. And now I've seen it a couple of times today, so I think other teams agreed. But not done yet. Of a best of 3 in towards a best of 3 of OT on the 3rd and final map. Falcons, unfortunately, you can't start prepping your game just yet. You'll have to wait another 6 to 9 minutes.
Oh, OT. I mean, we said it basically a best of 1 now, isn't it?
Yep.
So both teams get a point. Is that not how it works? Both teams take points in?
Bad news.
Oh wait, sorry, we're past that bit, aren't we? Yeah, look, great game so far. Really lair, back and forth, big moments from big players. I mean, that was a very clean G2 round at the end of the day. Good execution onto the warehouse, pushing in, clearing away those 2 players trying to hold it. And then, yeah, just
Attackers have been able
very,
to locate
very
the
quickly
bomb.
go in for that plant whenever they see that opportunity. So very clinical G2 work. Still, not out of yet. BDS. Take on the defense.
Insertion.
Wow, this would be the least favorable side based on what we've
5
seen so
seconds
far.
remaining.
It's the weird way that this game is sort of played out, right? But also it's the fact that we have seen in the latter half,
I don't think I have
in
clearance.
every single round, apart from that last one, somebody had at least a 3K on one of the two teams, which is an anomaly, I think it's fair to say. And in the opening half, we only had one player achieve a 3K or better. It was Freck. And it just shows how much these teams are just throwing themselves in, how much it's come off the back of somebody making a hero play and somebody making a hero sort of moment.
C4 out!
C4 out, doesn't quite catch Blaz. Hard Breach is allowed to live and thrive a little bit longer. They have themselves a bit of range Hard Breach this time. As we said, G2, they've been very clean at taking and attacking this. And you do wonder why they opted to come back here, but at the same time, it's also that period of time where when it hasn't gone, it's also the only defensive site that BDS have been able to win, regardless of how close it gets. And now, they're going to see if they can try and keep that momentum going, Demo.
I do worry about that C4, though, being ripped, because that's the only C4 that they had. So really, the plant denial, it puts a lot of pressure on the P4, and oh, Virtue peeks out for no real reason. And little does he know that Alamo's back in that glass. You would love to have Virtue alive on that Warden for that. And a retake, they're just going to try and retake Mez here. Loira's seen the guy cross, so G2 immediately should be aware of this. BDS are going to go really aggro to try and get some kills back, but because the information has now been passed over, G2 can recalibrate. They're going to be ready for this. They've spotted out the player that needed to find being Robbie, who's just going to be trapped now. They're actually going to try and get him back. Smoke off the bathroom window, but no, Robbie! Loira's jumped in, found two of them! A free piece for the Brazilian! Blaz jumps onto another, Freck all by himself! A quad kill for Loira!
Well, that's not really what we've expected, but they tried to put the pressure on. They tried to change things. As I said, it's been the only defensive site that they've been able to win. And one of the times it was close and down to the wire. One of the times it was a lot more solid. And I think they sort of said, we're going to need to change something. We need to apply some extra pressure because G2 will get this. They're a great team at getting this, and just did not quite add up the same way. Virtue's yawning. That's our second yawner. It's all right. There can only be at least 2 more rounds, Virtue. Oh. I mean, Loira. To be fair, I think since we saw Loira yawn, I think he's gotten at least like 6 kills. So maybe that's he's ready for bed. He's ready to put this game to bed. We're back here. Back here on the top floor. It was one of the two that G2 were able to win. The other one was Bunk's briefing, so I think they're feeling a bit more confident here. Especially on the back of a strong attack round win like that, but also it was how they both started and ended their defensive half, and in those ways, BDS won both of those. They know how to approach it, they know how to destroy it. We're back to a limitation on shields. The triple ban there, in terms of the electrics and the mute, really puts you in a bit of an awkward place early on. So they have to be a bit creative in how they get rid of the hard breach. And BDS only bring the single hard breacher of Virtue. And we've seen how losing that hard breach massively limited them last time.
Yeah. BDS haven't been on the attack for quite a while. Have to ensure that they can lock back into that mindset that you need to have. Open up the mind. The mind is quite like a parachute, Emmy. It's not open. It's no good to you.
I don't even know where you pull these from apart from on maybe t-shirts. Lasmo takes a couple of shots to the toes. You're gonna hit me with a live, laugh, love next. As they try and get themselves some control of ops. But we talked about how they try and slow down this approach. They try and get a bit more aggressive. They make sure they're not as comfortable. That is as uncomfortable as they could be, as Doki just fully steps in, and a single grenade removes all of that. And oh, there's 2 quick kills. That's from the breach across the way, I believe. Maybe even actually from underneath. It's Stompin. Gets one as the pick back up. We can hear the blinds, the Candelas rolling in towards Ops. It was from underneath. They have the angles, and now Stompin. He's got himself to a semblance of safety. The Tiburon will buy them some time. But look at the positions here. They're going to long arm the chance at a throw. In fact, no! Alamau goes out, double dips, does some damage, and pulls back. A 3 versus 3. The breach will still come together, but Freck finds another head. Wants to swing in. He's about to have a close engagement, but as the blind pops out, oh! Big risk, bigger reward, Virtue. All that's left.
E4.
That's it. The smoke canister will force him further and further away into a rough engagement. BDS, for all the fight that they've had, for all they've been managed to achieve, G2. They've put themselves 2 versus 1 away from progressing along the lower bracket. Another smoke. They're not overextending. They're not overexerting. They know how to play this game, Virtue. They know your game probably better than anybody else. So at this point, he's just hoping to bait them in. They have some of the read. There's the hole and the confirmation. Doesn't even know where to begin to go at this point. Tucks himself around. There is still the C4. Look at the rotation Stompin's taken, though. He's on the other side of the door. He's happy. That C4 won't quite net the kill. It's a post plant. No, it isn't. It's the game over. G2, a rough day still ends in success as they progress on the lower bracket. BDS have played the best Siege we've seen them play maybe all year, but definitely this stage.